throw in
Yeah,
one
like now the
person.
only stuff I'm watching is for these episodes or kuch hai nahi
Same.
bolne ko.
Okay,
Same. To watch Afternoons of Solitude, I had to watch Pacific Fiction first. So like my last week
sure.
was just for this. Yeah.
I mean, that's my aim for keeping these episodes is so that I watch these films. And still, I'm
Same.
failing because I've not watched Sentimental Value. But anyways, yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get to it now,
No,
considering
you,
I'll
you
hear you
have to
guys.
get to it when the Oscar nominations come out. You just gotta
I
get
don't,
excited for it.
but yeah, but I'm not going to. I don't do the religious thing of watching everything
Okay.
now.
Fair enough.
I've given up. I've tried a lot, but I've given up. But anyways, okay, let's start.
No, no, you watched Sirāt a third time, I know.
Listen, don't hold
But
it
so
against
badly
me.
one must
I
love it.
don't dislike it. I think I'll be quite positive relative to you guys. I have a lot of issues with it, but I still have like I have a fondness for its vibe in one sense. But anyways,
जादू मंतर जादू मंतर जादू मंतर You are going into the future.
You talking to me?
Ain't always BBC clothing. என் பேர் மாணிக்கம் எனக்கு இன்னொரு பேர் இருக்கு
Talking to me?
Queen is dead.
hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our third, fourth, fifth part of the catch-up episodes we've done since we've recorded them since December, but they'll be releasing essentially from January onward. So this will hopefully come to you in Feb. And this is an episode which I am very, very excited about, not just because of the guest who's joining us, but because of the particular film we'll be discussing, which is his favorite, and none of the other people's favorite at all. Let's just say that. But anyways, firstly, I'll introduce you to the guest. So the people who are already here, who have been here, are Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi, Dhruv. I am, again, like I said, no promises to not be a bitch in this episode. That is how I am.
Okay. And then we have Ashwin also returning. Hi, Ashwin. How are you?
I I'm good. I'm great. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Ready to complain about a couple of movies. So yeah.
Okay, fine. Fantastic. Back to usual programming, that
Yeah.
is. And then we have the first time guest we have here is Vikas. I will call him Vic from now. He runs a podcast called Let's Talk Melbourne podcast, which he can talk about more and he can introduce himself. But we hope to have him more often whenever we can do our scheduling because, you know, Australia scheduling and wherever we are situated, scheduling is a bloody nightmare sometimes to do. But anyways, Vic, please introduce yourself, and we are happy to have you here so much.
Thank you, Dhruv. My name is Vikas Raheja. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I run a podcast called Let's Talk Melbourne. It essentially started off as a podcast talking about finance, but now I'm only talking about movies. So don't ask me how that happened. It just organically happened like that. And I'm really excited to be here. I had both Dhruv and Chris on my podcast. So yes, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so it's interesting that your podcast went from finance to film, considering Bollywood is going the other way, where from film to finance, but even the finance is basically not there
It's
now.
not
So
working.
it's
Yes.
so yeah, I think we should all give up on that altogether. But anyways,
No, their
today,
finances are run by me watching all the garbage
yeah,
single-handedly.
only you, yeah. Anyways, we'll be talking about this is our this is the second part of a foreign film catch up or like foreign language film catch up essentially, where we'll be talking about films from Europe and one film from South America. This is how we had planned it before. The episode that will go before this should be on Asian films and one Middle Eastern film. But again, the issue with talking about these films in this sort of categorization is that even though the language of these films might they might be set in a particular location, the production comes from somewhere else. For example, It Was Just an Accident is set in Iran, but it's a French production, and the France is submitting it for its Oscar campaign, etc., etc. I don't think we have an oddity like that here in the list today, but this sort of stuff happens, I'll make sure to note if there is anything that is like that. But anyways, like the last episode, there's a lot of films which we could have included in this list, but there are lots we are not including. I'll just name check them specifically because they are either up there for the award season stuff, or they are ones which I've heard about or I was looking forward to but haven't gotten to yet. So, these are films which we aren't discussing, but I suppose if people have watched them, are watching them, you can please tell us what you think about them. If they are worth discussing, we are happy to. We might be doing an additional episode at the end because there are a couple of films we really want to discuss but couldn't get to. One of them on is there on my list, which one of our members has watched, not here, but he's watched, is called Late Shift, which is Switzerland's submission to the Oscars. Best international feature film, and it's made the short list if I'm not wrong, which I've heard is really really good. Then the other films which I know are submitted but I and are also shortlisted is Belen or Belen, which is Argentina's
Argentina.
submission. I have no idea where this film, how to get access to this film. I don't know if it's released even in the States as a limited release. Then there's Young Mothers by the Dardenne brothers, which I haven't seen, which premiered at a lot of festivals. That's Belgium submission. I don't think it's in the shortlist from whatever I remember, but I might be wrong. But that's there. Then A Poet is Colombia's submission, which I've heard a lot about. Which again, I think it's available online now. But that's another film which we might have discussed. The Love That Remains, I know, is a film I was looking forward to because I really like the Icelandic director's other work, which I've seen. I'm going to butcher his name's pronunciation. It's called Hjulna Parmesan, if I'm not wrong. If I am probably wrong, but anyways, his films are whatever I've seen as of yet has been really, really interesting, terrific even. So this is his film, so I was looking forward to it. Again, was submitted as a for the best international feature. I don't think it's made the shortlist. Then there's North Macedonia's The Tale of Cillian, which I have not seen also, which this is by the director of Honeyland. I think Honeyland is the
I
one,
love
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a documentary again. The doc fiction thing is a sort of hybrid in which he works, which I just got to know recently about, and it's there submitted for the best national feature, but I don't think again made the shortlist. And then there's one film which I have access to but have yet not watched. It's called Below the Clouds. It's from Italy, but it's not like a big thing. Which Ashwin, when I mentioned it to us that we might be discussing in the episode, said, "What is this?" Which is probably the correct response because no one knows about what this is. But this director is known for
Yeah.
Fire at Sea. I think is one of the documentaries he
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
So he's made he's made Fire at Sea. He also made something called Notono or something like that. I forget the title, but he's a very interesting documentarian filmmaker. I've seen the bits of Below the Clouds I've seen seem very like a combination of being super enigmatic and super like the docu-realism combination of it. So it seemed very interesting to me. It's shot in black and white and all that stuff, like all that cinephilia jazz, whatever you want to say. But yeah, these are the titles that I have written down, which we aren't discussing, but maybe are worth watching. Maybe we will end up discussing. I know Late Shift is definitely one of the titles which we would like to discuss, along with The Voice of Hind Rajab, which I know we couldn't get for the last episode we wanted to discuss. So, anyways, any other titles, if you guys have, you can throw them out. If not, of course, we can go on to discuss our 5 films today. We'll be beginning that discussion in a way where we go from effusive praise to dwindling ones, I think. But anyways, it's not that I wanted the episode to go that route. I just wanted to structure it in a way which I guess makes some sort of sense to me. I have to admit that one of the films on this list I still haven't seen. So Chris will be, handling the fort at that point. But anyways, Ashwin, Chris, and Vikas can fill me in on why I should or should not watch this particular film. But this will come at the end. The first film we will be discussing is The Secret Agent.
¿Qué le has, mundo?
No,
O nome dele é Marcelo.
Armando. Armando.
I'm going to butcher the director's name again, especially this middle name, but I'm going to say Kleber Mendoca Philo. I know it's Philo and I know it's Kleber. Those two are correct. I don't know the middle name if I've pronounced. I'll just say Philo from now or Kleber. I don't know, but or KMF. I can also say that, right? So anyway,
Well,
Secret
it's not
Agent.
KGF.
No, because please, then I will shut this
Just
podcast
checking,
down.
just checking, just checking.
No. But anyways, The Secret Agent by KMF, as I've said now, it's Brazil's official submission to the Academy Awards. It's making all the rounds in terms of award buzz. It's been nominated for a lot of the awards, which I think I still don't understand why people still put value in, which is the Golden Globes. Like, I don't get the appeal of the Golden Globes. They're
Like,
very
Golden Globes
weird.
have dramatically changed, actually. It's kind of the
Have
coolest
they?
award. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen the nominees like this year? The
Yeah.
Secret
No.
Agent, No Other Choice, like,
As in, they are
these are
expanding in a way which is not insular
yeah,
and
they're more
masturbatory.
international than
Okay.
the Academy
Oscars.
right now,
Okay,
and they
interesting.
even nominated Lee Byung-hun in lead actor,
Oh,
I
wow,
think.
for No Other
Yeah,
Choice?
it's very
Interesting.
last year. Payal Kapadia was nominated for best director for All We Match. So
Interesting.
from
Hmm.
last year, they've been kind of cool.
Sure, sure.
I would
This
argue
shut
that
out,
they're the
they
best.
shut down in the middle, no? Some change
Yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah. They
happened
were
then.
completely
Okay.
cancelled and
Yeah.
they rebuilt.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
and it was instrumental in the whole Fernando Torres campaign for Best Actress, and I'm
Yeah.
still here
Ah,
because
okay.
she won
She
Best
won.
Actress
She won the
award,
Golden
yeah,
Globe.
last year.
Suddenly, that's when this I'm
Sure.
still here. Like,
Okay,
Yeah.
then as Ashwin and Vikas are saying, the overhaul is impressive. You should pay
yeah.
attention to this and not the Academy Awards. Then I should have noted down all the Golden Globes nominees. But anyways, it's Brazil's official submission. It premiered at Cannes, where it won Best Director, where it won the most awards ever by any film, I think, as of yet, from whatever I've noted down here, which is Best Director, Best Actor, Art House Cinema Award. I have no idea what that is. And for Presky, which is the Critics' Prize for Best Film. So four awards at Cannes is pretty big for any
Yeah.
film, I think, because I think they usually have a policy of not awarding one film more than one major
All
award,
awards.
which
Right.
is, a huge thing. And okay, so those are the sort of technicalities of whatever where the film is coming in from. It's written by KMF also. The DOP is Evgenia Alexandrova. I think she's one of the one of the two cinematographers, along with the cinematographer of Sinners, who's sort of in the talks. I don't know. I don't think it'll get nominated for cinematography, even though it's a gorgeously shot film. But anyways, that's I wanted to flag. I'm going to flag up all the crew members a little bit in terms of the cast, editors, DOPs for every film. So bear with me on that. Cast is Wagner Moura, who's making the rounds for Best Actor, and Alice Carvalho, who plays a small role of of the our main character's wife in a past section. Tania Maria, who plays arguably the best, most memorable character of the film, and Don Sebastiano. And then others also are there. It's a fairly expansive cast, fairly rich array of characters you get to meet in this film. It's not a film which is, bunkered down on one or two people as such. Wagner Moura very much is the lead, though. The editor is Matthews Farias. Again, a huge task considering this film is sprawling. This film is about a lot of things, and how he assembles them is an interesting thing, which we can discuss if he does it successfully or not, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this film. The premise of The Secret Agent is that, and this all is taken from IMDb, not sponsored, of course, but I have to mention it. In 1977, a technology expert flees from a mysterious past and returns to his hometown of Recife. Is it Recife or is it Recife?
It's
Recife.
Recife.
Recife. Okay.
Recife.
In search of peace, he soon realizes that the city is far from being the refuge he seeks. Very apt summary, I think, of what the film is actually about. There's a lot of stuff going on in this film apart from that too. Anyways, it's I'll just begin by setting it up setting up my thoughts of it very succinctly, and then I can go to Vikas, then Ashwin, then Chris, who likes it the least out of all of us, I think. So, Chris, you can explain yourself. But anyways, I I adored this film. I saw this film a while back now, 3 weeks, a while back, meeting, considering this episode recording thing. So I saw this 3 weeks or so back. But yeah, I think it's. I've watched KMF's other two films. I've not seen his earlier, more art housey work, which is Neighboring Sounds and Aquarius, both of which I hear are tremendous. So I've only watched Bakurao, which he co-directed with someone else, which I thought was sensational when I watched it. And then I watched his documentary called Picture of Ghosts, which is, I think, an almost invaluable companion piece to this film, Seek the Secret Agent. And its ethos very much bleeds into the meta textual elements of the secret agent, especially. But anyways, I thought it was just sublime. It's a very I like how the film feels like it's overflowing in many ways. Like it feels novelistic in the sort of in a rich sense, in the sense that there are details flying out left, right, and center. He doesn't feel the need to, spoon feed us the details. It's very simply it begins with the whole thing that um, our story takes place in 1977, which is a time of mischief, and the time of mischief itself encapsulates a lot of the things which are happening. The mischief um, is mischievous, like it's playful. The film is playful when it needs to be. It's somber and mournful and serious when it also needs to be. And I think one of the feelings I got while watching it was this thing of, the time capsule feeling of being transported into a different world which I've never been part of, and sort of noticing it bit by bit and sort of situating myself in it, which I value incredibly. And then the element of textualizing it in the present and making it about memories and making it about how one processes the past and processes these particular things. And I think I'm going to just the last thing I'm going to say is I've been saying that I really like productive nostalgia in a way, as opposed to nostalgia in the sort of sentimental sense where I'm reminiscing something beautiful about my past and I want to go back to that past. I love Richard Brody from The New Yorker said this is quote unquote bitter nostalgia, and I love it. I think that very much encapsulates the feeling of watching this film for me. And yeah, and I we can get into the details of it, but yeah, my impressions of it are very much that I love the ethos of this film. I love the way it moves from different genres, different registers, different characters. It feels like such a full experience without feeling like it's. I mean, it can even feel it's over. You can maybe feel it's overwhelming, but I don't think the overwhelming stuff is a bad thing in this case. Let's just say that. So yeah, I think for me, it's very much coming from that place. Vic, for you,
Oh, I love this movie a lot. I think I
yeah,
agree with everything you've said. And in some ways, this movie it has a similar theme to another movie which we will discuss later today about a parent trying to reunite with their child, in this case,
yep,
his son, and the price he has to pay and the things that he has to
hmm
go through and
yep,
that human element of it. But as you rightly said, it is a time capsule movie set in 1977, but everything about this movie feels so current,
yep,
like oppression, resistance,
hmm
capitalism, authoritarianism,
hmm
and how all of that impacts just normal day-to-day lives of people and the casualty it leaves behind.
yeah,
So from a story perspective, it's very, very current, and that's why it's probably resonating so much with critics across the globe and
hmm
audiences as well.
hmm
But it's also a very technically brilliant movie. It's a very
yep,
well made movie. It's beautifully edited, wonderfully shot, and the genre mash, the pistache it has is quite funny. I mean, I love the
hmm
sequence of the shark biting biting the leg, and
yep,
that whole episode of in the whole track is just so funny. And
yeah,
even the opening shot where the dead body is lying there, and they're just putting like something to cover the dead body, and
yep.
everyone's just like, oh,
It
it's
is
the
it's casual stuff, right?
it's
Essentially,
so
yeah,
casual, and
yeah,
there's the quality of the value you put to life is just so minimalistic, and the cops trying to get him are thinking, and they just take some money and go. So it's the whole thing, and it's shot with such seriousness, but has a little bit of like black humor in it, and
yep,
that itself kind of hooked me in.
mm,
But Wagner Moura's performance is outstanding. I mean, I don't know
yep,
if people watched Narcos. He was so good in Netflix's Narcos, and I thought he should have won an Emmy for that.
hmm
But if he should definitely get an Oscar nomination. I don't know if he'll win it because Timothy Chalamet is almost ready with his speech, but this is really something. It's a great performance, and I agree with you. I think Tina Maria's is such a memorable performance she gives. That Dawn character is
Hmm.
just such a throughout history and throughout cinemas. We look even if you look at Hitchcock or if you look at any of the other great directors, down the line, they always have this one character which is similar to Dawn. Like even in Casablanca, like who's like a matriarch who's trying to, or a patriarch, and who's
Hmm.
trying to find passage for all of these people who are trying to escape their previous
Yep.
lives, and that's the catalyst. So
Hmm.
I like this movie a lot. I
Hmm.
have really nothing wrong or negative to say about this.
Sure. Ashwin, you can go ahead. Anyways, Chris is having some technical issues.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I also love this movie, so I just have to agree with everything you've said.
Good.
Uh,
It's fine. We
so
will move to a place of disagreement later. So it's okay.
yeah.
We all can agree. Yeah.
So as Vikas was saying, I
Hmm.
am just really like, appreciating how current it feels because like we are recording this like days after the Venezuela thing.
Hmm.
And this whole Brazilian military dictatorship, it was placed there like with the involvement of the United States. Like
Yeah.
before that, in the 60s, I think Brazil was ruled by this, his name is João Goulart, who was a
Hmm.
leftist guy.
Hmm.
And they had disagreements with the United States during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So he was kind of like a target of the Kennedy administration
Hmm.
um, during that time, and they were instrumental in doing this coup and pulling off the coup there and establishing a military
Yep.
dictatorship there in Brazil. So this movie is set in the 1970s, like in the middle of this time.
Yep.
So it is very current in that respect itself. Other than that, just generally how like the people in Brazil, they are like these characters, like we are introduced to like a huge ensemble of characters
Hmm.
who are like refugees. So how they are dealing with the authoritarianism is
Hmm.
how like it's very much resonant everywhere. Like again, like another news item from like past week, whatever.
Hmm.
So in that sense, it's very current and
Yep.
even more current than the contemporary films like Bugonia or like One Battle that are set
Yep.
in the contemporary period, I feel.
Yep.
Um, and uh, and such a thing like is done through like a mashup of like such rich genres and like we are seeing that like there is a segment where he's doing this playful like horror leg like terrorizing all these
Yep.
gay guys cruising in the park. So it
Hmm.
is so we are so like that kind of genre elements is woven into this historical document of a movie, which is also like very much in line with how the world is feeling right now. So it's
Hmm.
so many things all at once. It's so entertaining,
Everything,
and
everywhere, all at once. That
it's yes, like it's timeless
not
in a
in,
very good
not
way.
in a cringy way. I don't
Not
mind
in a
that film,
cringy
but like
way.
I'm
Like
just
I
saying, yeah.
see, uh, this might be controversial, like, but I think One Battle After Another is timeless in a bad way. It
Sure.
doesn't specify
Agree.
the contemporary thing,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
I am annoyed by that.
Hmm.
This is timeless in a good way. It
Sure.
is very specifically set in the 70s, but it resonates with us now. Like in that way, I want to like compare it to like it's a companion piece with the mastermind, Kelly Reichardt's.
Okay. Hmm.
Again, a film set in the 70s, and she's basically asking like these liberals, they didn't do anything in the 70s. Do you see this bullshit? Like that's what the movie's asking to me.
Yeah.
Like so it's very so yeah, I'm like very pumped. This it's kind of funny
No, I
thing
know
Sunday.
this is this one of your, along with Avatar, is this your favorite film of the year?
You don't have to put it like that, yeah, but sure.
Sorry.
This is another film. Like I will be, ranting about it in another episode, but yeah, which is a film that is very actively, explicitly asking for like armed violence, resistance. So,
Sure.
definitely you can compare it with Avatar. Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay, interesting. Chris, were you here for the Oba slander?
No, I was not. Thank
Okay,
God.
No, but
Can I
Ashwin,
Oba,
you're safe.
yeah, because you saying yeah.
So I just want to interject. I think Ashwin, the good point you made on one battle after another. That's an interesting comparison because the whole Benicio del Toro track and the Dawn track are kind of
Dawn and
similar
Track,
in
yeah.
terms of how the refugees are there.
Yeah.
But the Beni and they both those characters treat all of those refugees with so much care and
Mhm.
attention. Like even in Dawn's house, when
Mhm.
someone's getting the passport and they're leaving, she's there, present, and humanizes these people. And I think that's
Mhm.
a very interesting sort of comparison point between the two movies. And they're two very different movies saying very
Yep.
different things,
Mhm.
but it's similar in some ways, but distinctly different in others as well. So I thought that
Uh,
was an interesting comparison
yeah.
Ashwin made there.
No, I've written that this is Oba adjacent in a way that this film percolates as opposed to relies on propulsiveness,
Yeah.
which is a mode which again to me when and I've seen the and I know I am the Oba person here, so I'm not defending it. There are issues which people can raise that people can flag up that it's totally fine. I'm just saying that to me, Secret Agent and Mastermind for that matter are operating in a much more art house mode. I think
Sure,
the
absolutely.
Oba comparison might be more apt with Bakurao, if anything else. In the genre, propulsive, but even
Yeah.
Bakurao has an art house strain to it, in my
Very
opinion. Like
much, yeah.
it goes from art house to genre. Like it's like one of those sensibilities. But anyways, Chris, why did you like it less than us?
No,
Sorry.
I mean it's going to be you can't like put me on the spot like that, but
No, it's my job
no,
here. That's my job.
no, but no, the thing is, you tell me to defend myself, but like it's not that I didn't like anything about the film. I liked
Yeah.
pretty much everything. I'm just not obsessed with it the way say you might be.
Wow.
It's as
Okay.
simple as that. It's
Okay.
just I think it's a really well made film. I think it's um uh extremely gorgeously shot. Like
Hmm.
it bridges such a wonderful like nostalgia into its visual aesthetic, but with like you said bitter nostalgia, but it's
Hmm.
it's
I didn't
it's
say
very
it. I
very
wish I did, but yeah. Uh,
but it's still extremely pleasing to look at,
hmm.
and it gets a time and a place very very wonderfully. I think Wagner Mora's performance is unfathomably incredible, but
Hmm.
I just feel like for me personally it ends up not coming together. I mean it's kind of cliche to say, but like the whole is less than the sum of its parts
You
kind of a
wanted the
thing.
catharsis?
No, actually, I really liked
Okay.
the way that the ending plays out. I think that's
Hmm.
my possibly my like the last 20 minutes are possibly my favorite
Sure.
part of the film.
Okay.
And I really like how they decide to show that final
I was
sort of.
so rooting for the catharsis in this. I was like, please don't, that because it's suspended for so long. The tension is that I was like, please give me the catharsis of him being there in the present,
No, that
essentially.
that
Hmm.
definitely. Like
Hmm.
I but like a part of me obviously knew that that wasn't going to happen.
Okay. Hmm.
So I really liked the way that they subverted then instead of
Sure.
actually going through with it.
Hmm.
Though how simply or how like succinctly it is shown, I thought was very
Yeah,
poetic again.
reminded me a
But
lot
yeah,
of No Country for Old Men, actually. The segment of that particular the way in which it's handled in
mm,
sort of the off-screen way. Let's just say that in way it's
yeah.
handled. Yeah.
No, but yeah, as a whole, I feel like I the little bit of your arguments that I listened to, and I get the sort of affection towards it. I like again how like how contemporarily relevant it feels.
Mm.
But I feel like that didn't really connect with me as much, especially like now I'm hearing Oba Sander came out, but
No,
I'm not.
you didn't find the Oba connection while watching it?
No, I find the Oba connection definitely. I think I am more in connect with what Oba is doing
Sure.
than here. Not to say that I don't like what is being done here.
Mm.
My more sensibility align with what Oba is going for, at least cinematically,
Sure.
than what's going on here. I think there's a very interesting use of like pulpy elements, even though I don't know how consistently they land. See also with the whole
Leg.
leg story
So
thing.
that's
And
I
again,
was thinking that would be a divisive point for a lot of people. Uh,
Like I don't think it's divisive in a bad way because I love excess. Like I
yeah,
love
we
when
know
films
that.
go. But again, it's that kind of okay, you start with like it's I mean, like this is my brain and I do apologize for it, but like you're seeing people cruise and it hits a gay couple and that's how
It's
you
about the
start a
police,
setup.
no?
It is. I'm just
Hmm.
saying that it's I didn't it took me a while to apprehend it in that
Sure.
sense. So again, I'm saying this in a very self-aware manner that
Hmm.
that is the knee-jerk reaction I had, but then I'm
Hmm.
sort of making sense of it and coming to terms with it. I don't mean this as a sort of blanket condemnation the way that you and I have experienced in the past.
Oh, okay,
Let's
like
just
in like
say.
okay, okay, fine, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm struggling to be a bit articulate about it. I have a lot of thoughts, but none of them sort of coalesce as coherently as they have for you guys. So I think
Hmm.
I love elements of it. I think the opening is fantastic for setting a certain tone,
Hmm.
with how long it lingers at that petrol pump and how
Yeah. I think it's a
it
good,
frames.
sorry, I think it's a
No, no.
great lesson for any filmmaker in how to introduce
Mm.
a world which
Yeah.
they are familiar
Yeah.
with and make us and want to make us be familiar with without
Mm.
signposting everything in a way which like feels like you're punching someone to get the
Yeah.
information out. Like it feels like you're totally in. It's like someone took someone's memory of an incident
Mm.
and then absolutely filmed that, and that memory is so specific that the universalities then sort of spill out of them. At least that was the impression for me while watching the opening here.
Yeah, that's definitely there. Then, like you said, Donna Sebastiana and the Elsa character, who's actually not there for much. I felt like both those women bring a really
Elsa is
interesting.
the love interest?
No,
No,
Elsa is
is
No.
the lady
is
who's trying to save him,
yeah.
Okay, the interviewer.
the interviewer.
Sure.
I feel like both of them, in very different ways, bring a very interesting sort of
Yeah.
caring to the. I mean, there's a lot of thing about care in the
Yeah.
film. You've got, Wagner Mora's characters, in-laws who are looking after his son, his desire to care for his son, his
Yeah.
care for his country, or his work, for
Mm-hmm.
his wife in what little that is there.
Mm.
His the way that Donna Sebastiana cares for the people in that,
I mean,
the
there's care
refugees.
even for the Udo Kier character. A lot of sensitivity in that particular scene, at least. Udo Kier, who plays his
A
final
German
role.
guy.
Yeah.
He's Jewish though,
Yeah.
right? I think that's the whole thing that he
Ah,
is,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
that the person there is kind of using him as a sign of, masculinity and pride of what he accomplished in war without knowing the
Mm.
actual reality of him. So Udo Kier is very much playing against type in this. Bakuro, he's legitimately like a terrifying presence of imperialism in many ways. But anyways, yeah, sorry
So
to,
that for me, that element of care, I think, is what I'm
yeah.
left with at the end of it. And even at the end, when you get to the present proper,
Hmm.
um, I find that gesture itself an act of caring, an act of like
Yeah.
preservation of memory and the memory of care and memory as care.
Hmm.
And so that, like, I feel like in those more sentimental ways, I think this film really speaks to me.
Hmm.
But in the direct commentary that it's going for, I totally understand why it's more resonant to some people. It just
Hmm.
didn't come
Sure.
out as much to me, is
Sure.
the way that I'd phrase it. Yeah.
Sure. No, I mean, I just also wanted to highlight fans of Jaws, Steven Spielberg's Jaws, might be in for a good time in this, just because the reference point he has used really wonderfully and
Wonderful.
repeatedly as a sort of thing about fear and like what happens when the fear is unseen and what happens when you see it. And I think it's very much a pointed commentary on the fear that comes from movies versus the fear that comes from authoritarianism, and this whole idea that watching the film dissipates the fear actually, versus actually just listening to it to about this sort of percolating fear in the air which is there throughout the film. Has this paranoid thing about, like, there's so many like details in the film which you
Yeah.
can like hone in on, that I was just consistently enthralled by it. I was like, this is the sort of film I like want every so often to watch, just to feel like cinema is alive in a in not in a sort of what is the Martin Scorsese meme? Not in that sense, cinema or whatever, but it felt
Absolute cinema.
very absolute cinema. I was just like I just enjoyed going, like it's like going to a film and being like, this director knows, like this director
Yeah.
knows, like it's one of those things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
And
there's
it's
also
sorry,
sorry,
yeah,
go Ashwin.
Vikas, you can go ahead first. Then
yeah.
No, I was saying to listening to Chris, I think the
hmm,
whole the leg, the gay people are cruising and then
hmm,
they're being attacked. It's also there's a subversive element in it. You have to remember this movie was just before the AIDS pandemic hit, and there was this lots
hmm,
of paranoia that gay people are dying. And
hmm,
at that time in 77, late 70s, it was like
hmm,
so it was just given the milieu and the culture, it was to sort of say create that paranoia that these people are attacked first because
hmm,
of their whatever it may be, their carelessness or whatever
hmm,
the perceived thing. And
hmm,
then also there is this very Trumpian tactic there to say, well, people are dying, or it could be because of shark. It's something very
yeah, yeah,
unreasonable to sell it because
Right.
it's conjecture,
Absolutely.
it's in the news, and
hmm,
so the way he subverts these political themes, I thought was very, very impressive.
hmm,
And it spoke to an audience that perhaps would not have understood the history. When Ashwin was explaining the movie, I was like, wow, okay, he knows the like
the
I'm not
history,
very well versed
yeah,
with the history of that
yeah,
country, but it's a good segue into like an insight into that time. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, Ashwin, you were saying it.
Yeah, to add to this, the leg thing, like,
Hmm,
so I think it is originating from a newspaper cutting where
yeah,
these police and it's a diversion tactic, like to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah. So he's just, emphasizing how incredibly stupid it is through a playful,
Yeah.
depiction of the same
I
thing.
mean,
So
almost taking away the fear element of it. No, like by
yeah,
by satirizing it almost.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
yeah,
in general, I think in the movie, he has this kind of a meta thing about the need to tell stories and narratives and all. In the first segment, it is titled "The Boy's Nightmare" or
the
something.
boy's nightmare. Yeah,
And the boy, he's getting nightmare from something that he heard from the radio, and he asks like, "You haven't seen it, then how are you getting
yeah,
nightmares?" I think that kind of ties into the framing device of these girls listening to the
yeah,
recording. They haven't seen it, and he also, as a filmmaker, he feels the need to actually recreate cinematically, like
yeah,
this thing at that time period and all.
yeah,
So that sense, it's really, and the Jaws reference, like he's going for a very pulpy genre thing to do such a serious topic. So
yeah.
I feel like in comparing this to like I Am Still Here that came out last year, which
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of.
Hmm.
So this is more an interesting way to invite people into such a world. Like after I'm Still Here, I wasn't really curious about what happened there,
Sure.
but after the Secret Agent, I actually literally went and read about it. Like it was told in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think the way we'll come back to this actually in the next film also we'll be discussing because I think only Ashwin and me have seen this. But when you make history a blur of sort of uh, different shades and colors and genres and even people and everything, the thing is you are more inclined to then be like, okay, this film acknowledges in a way that what it is capturing is a place in time, not the entirety of it. So what you get, at least for me, is that when I watched it, I was like, this is such a fascinating way to like enter a world, and then my amnesia sort of the place and time and everything sort of gets cured in a way by this film, but it also like it instigates something in you to then go and look for more information about it. I think the hagiographical sort of recounting history, like it's a chapter thing. Like in this, the chapters are more enigmatic. It's not about telling you something very linearly and all that. But to me, the whole idea of recounting history like this is just the slipperiness is the key, I think, rather than being very, very, direct with this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So I think that sort of very much, to me at least, felt valuable in The Secret Agent a lot. So yeah, any other thoughts, guys? We can then move on to the next film also.
No, I'll just say to counter the other. I mean, there's one element of it that which I quite enjoyed, which is
Mm,
the way that it plays with names, which is
mm,
always something that I'm very fond of. How
mm,
films or narratives in general treat the idea of names, right? Because
Sure.
you start from your what's in a name to this idea of uh, one's own name being weaponized against them, and how,
Yeah.
and even with his mother, the idea that her
Yeah.
name is so common that it's difficult to find her itself, and how that again, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful scene where the shooter is trying to um, find him, which uses
Which
his name as
shooter?
an
There's
element.
a lot of shooters in this.
There's only one who's trying to use his name as
Okay.
an element,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I think,
The one in the third act. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, which
Sure.
I think is set up really wonderfully, which is then paired with the scene of them drinking, where again the discussion of names comes up. So I felt
Sure.
like that was a really interesting attempt of the idea of identity and having to put on, and but where you're afraid of who you are in a sense, and the refuge itself is another kind of fear, where
Yeah.
both are indicators of a site of fear, which I think
Yeah.
is a really interesting element that it plays with. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the paranoid sensation is there even in the light-hearted moments. The paranoia is there of someone noticing something or someone being aware of something. There's that when you say that, I my memory of the third section is that split diopter shot when he's at the thing and you see the
That's exactly
person
what I
with
was
the
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where and I think there's a wonderful father-son thing going on throughout, not just with
Hmm.
our
Yeah.
main characters, but with the two shooters who enter the
Yeah.
story and have their own
Yeah.
thing going on. So yeah, again, lots of things in it. I would definitely suggest people to watch Picture of Ghosts if they want a slightly more. I The reason I loved Secret Agent is also because it sort of yanks the Picture of Ghosts slight sentimentality towards nostalgia, because it is also about reminiscing the theater places that have vanished from Recife, from whatever KMF was aware of. This one sort of recontextualizes it within the context of the place itself, so it becomes more complicated in how the cinema places also play a role. They play a role as refuge. They play a role as spaces where all these sort of activities also happen. All now it's being turned into this hospital of this transfusion place. So all this space, all this stuff is going on, and I just thought it melded together in a way which I was like, this is such a good way of communicating all that. So yeah, I adore this. I'm flipping back and forth between putting it on my first film also, but I'll need to
Oh,
rewatch it
wow.
once. Yeah, I loved it. So, anyways, can we move on, guys, to the next film? Because I knew that Secret Agent will be everyone praising mostly. So, and this next film also, I think both of us will be praising mostly, and then we'll get to the minefield. So, sorry, you're gonna get a
Literally.
lot of this. You're gonna get a lot of this here with
Dhruv,
that
if
film.
you do not put that song in the edit for this episode of the film you keep recommending when we get to Sirāt,
Okay,
I
okay,
will I will get so mad at you.
okay, got it. Anyways, but before Sirāt, we get to a film which is actually strangely, echoes the secret agent's whole play with time, at least in some sense, in a much more poetic, I would say, and fluid sense also. Like one of the criticisms might be that it's actually politically almost non-existent or so vague that it's like you feel like you're just floating in some other ether space of misery essentially. But anyways, we are talking, Ashwin and me have only seen this, so we won't spoil it. But we are talking about Sound of Falling, which is Masha Shilinsky's second feature. I thought it was her debut, but anyways, regardless of what number feature it is, it's a very tremendously good cinematic achievement and showcase of her talents as a filmmaker.
Hey, du doing? Das ist Alma. Sie sieht gut wie du. Vielleicht ist er Jason Überjahren.
It premiered at Cannes, where it won the jury prize. Is the jury prize second place, or is
No,
it third place?
Grand Prix is the second, I think.
Who won Grand Prix this year?
Sentimental Value.
Ah, okay. So jury prize is third place, two people shared. So it's Sound of Falling and the film we are going to talk about after this. But anyways, it's Germany's official submission to the Academy Awards. Also, it's written by her, Shilinsky and Louis Peter. DOP is her husband, partner, Fabian Gamper. And cast again, I will see best I don't pronounce the names because I'll butcher four beautiful German names. But anyways, all the characters, Ashwin, if you think someone's bad in the film, sure, you can say that. I thought all the performances were really wonderful in whatever they had to do. A lot of great kid performance in this, which is doesn't happen always. But anyways, a lot of good performances in this. Anyways, the film is about, and it's edited by Evelyn Rack and Billy Mind. Keep this pun not intended in mind because it's a fairly editing heavy film, and Billy Mind in is also one of the key sound designers on this, and sound is also a very key thing in the film. Premise is a remote German farm harbors generations of secrets. Four women separated by decades but united by trauma, which sounds like like something you would want to puke. It's like an art house thing, which you are just like, this is such a big cliche. Uncover the truth behind its weathered walls. That's the IMDb description. So they really did not, make an inviting synopsis for the festivals. Because this sounds like a nightmare, like not in a good way, like in a sort of art house cliche nightmare. Anyways, Chris, I was saying, Ashwin, what did you think about Chris? Actually, you can also chime in. You've seen how many minutes of this film?
About 40 minutes of the film. Also, I'm
Good.
surprised you haven't made the misogynist joke so
Oh
far.
yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Chris didn't. The only film Chris hasn't watched in this list is the film directed by a woman. So you
Ah,
can,
yes,
the
Oh, unacceptable.
allegations can keep
absolutely.
on coming, which have already
Right.
been there. So anyway, anyways,
Thank you,
Ashwin.
performative male feminist of Queen is dead.
Sorry, Ashwin, go ahead.
Um, yeah, as you said, the description is not really very inviting because I'm not at all into the generational trauma thing. We have,
How many
uh,
times more?
right. We've had like even horror films are like now plagued with these. So, but this movie to me is about the experience and the way that story is being told.
Hmm.
Like it's not as if you can summarize a story of the generation or anything.
Yeah,
Basically, the film picks up like four women characters from four different generations,
yeah.
and we are just slipping in from one character's experience to the next. It's like a ghost story when you are wandering through this big farmhouse, and when you
Hmm.
open a door, you're just suddenly in a different era,
Yeah.
and so on and so on. And it has the texture of an old photograph, kind of. It's just,
Fading photograph, I think, right? Like with like
fading
the
photograph.
yeah.
So it is just, yeah, I don't know. The experience is just so, transfixing. Like you're just kind of lost into this. Um, yeah, like in a very weird way, it reminded me of like Uncle Boomy and all, like, where,
Apichat Pong Virasate Kolsavak. Yeah, you
yeah,
mentioned this, I
like
think, right? Yeah.
there in that movie, it is like that character can literally recall past lives, and we
Yeah.
go to different chapter and so on and so forth. But here
Yeah.
we are just slipping in between the chapters and the characters and everything,
Yeah.
and then at some point the relationship between these characters will be revealed, and in the family tree how they are related and all. There are
Revealed
some,
in a sort of, but not in a gotcha way, na? It's more
yeah,
like it's
definitely it's
just
not like a ooh,
it's not
ooh
like, yeah, you solved the
twist.
connection. Wow. Like,
No,
it's not that. It's more like
it's
it just
not like
happens.
the left-handed girl twist, like Chris Love
Oh,
said.
okay, okay.
So like,
Yeah. Okay.
but this is like, yeah, I mean, it's just casually revealed in the flow of the storytelling.
And I
So
think you can miss it also. Like it's one of
you can,
those, yeah.
right.
You
I
can
mean,
very
you can
much miss
easily
it. Hmm.
dose off through like 10 minutes of the movie and you will miss
Well,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
But and it wouldn't even matter. Like it's
Hmm.
just that weird feeling of it. It's kind of a ghost story, and you are just stuck in the mind seer kind of a person.
Yeah.
It is. it's interesting. Like there is a portion where they kind of recreate the photograph, like of a of the day of a funeral. It's just so creepy. Like
Yeah, it is.
I'm not sure. Like it's there in all cultures where you actually take pictures with the dead body. Like I've
Hmm.
in Kerala, I know like some Christian factions they do actually take
Hmm.
pictures. Like the relatives will be standing around the
Yeah.
coffin and take. But it's not really common in my area anyway.
Mm.
So in this, they actually sit the body on a couch, and then they all sit beside them and stand beside them and like pose for a photograph.
Mm.
So in a way, that memory of so that picture is like initially introduced to us in like a later timeline, and then you are like kind of recreating in later on in the film. It's such a very ghostly, creepy film that
Yeah.
it smells of a lot of old things.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
No, no, I think
It's
that's no, no, but
wonderful
you, I
experience.
think you're doing a good job. I think just in terms of it is a very vibesy film more than
Yeah,
anything else. The
yeah,
tone poem thing is
yeah,
a good way to sort of encapsulate it. If you're
yeah.
into those things, like I am very much, you will be very much on the wavelength of this. If you're not into them, you'll pretty much despise this, I think. Also, because this is the least hand holding a film has done to signpost which story you are in, which story you are not. Like a lot of it just blurs into one in a way which I'm pretty sure is intentional. But anyways, I watched it yesterday only, and I've titled it "The Branches of Death," which is essentially the tree of life variant, the
Mhm.
branches of death for me, in the sense that the narrative branching is there like it is in something like your omnibus narrative films, like the sort of Magnolia or whatever you want to say, like, where you have different strands flowing together, but it's also
Mhm.
about bringing them in, like a sort of melodramatic bringing in of all these. You have visual rhymes, you have narrative rhymes, you have like these things are there. They're not signposted, which is a huge achievement, I think, on Masha Shilinsky's part, because this could very easily become tedious, especially because it's a long movie. It's a 2 hour, 30-minute movie, which is like probably could lose to 10, 15 minutes also. But no, it's just going through the headspaces of four characters in a way which I think, Chris, you dislike Die My Love, right? In this, it doesn't feel obvious and tedious because I think you have a very nice variation of characters in a way where even though they are connected by this trauma thingy, uh, I would even like I think the description makes it sound like everything has happened to these women externally, and to some extent it is true. A lot of the trauma in this is very European, miserablest. You can, if you think of the worst possible things that happen to human beings, it's sort of there in this. But then there's also a sort of existentialism to the whole thing where it's like moments which I'm going to highlight one moment, which hopefully is not that much of a spoiler for you guys, but it's very much a recounting of a young child essentially saying that they think their life is in vain because they chose strawberry or vanilla ice cream over strawberry. One of those things where I'm like, those details is what sort of makes the film more than the sort of miserable thing which sort of looms over this. But yeah, I mean, very much my type of film also. Like, I mean, I was just like, I've not seen a film be this obsessed and pontificating over death for a long time. I was like, this is very moving in its portrayal of how people think about it as as more than a concept but something as a feeling. And the sound work is tremendous, I think, in how the sound of falling is not something which is very descriptive. Like, you can't put it into one particular thing. It's very elemental, like the gurgling of water, the sort of, the buzzing of an insect. It's like a mixture of a lot of things. So it feels like every element of nature is carrying this weight of quote unquote trauma. And then that's what sort of resonates with all these women living in. Women, yeah, because it doesn't take any male voiceover. It takes at one point, but like very briefly. But yeah, it's a very expansive film. and it's all the better for it, because if the film is told in any other way, this is a total dud for me at least. It's the telling, as Ashwin said, that very much makes this film what it is. But I think that's all we're going to say about it, just because uh, Vic and Chris haven't seen it, and fully. Chris hasn't seen it. I don't know if he'll finish it, because I've mentioned that it's all about women also. I don't know what's going to happen there. But anyways, we are not going to expand on that. We are instead going to finish our kahani. Let's just say that.
हमारी अधूरी कहानी
And talk
I
about
am going
and
to
talk
throw
about a
hands,
film
my friend.
and talk about a film which Vic will introduce just because he loves it, and but I don't hate it, but I admire it. See, somewhat, even though I don't like it, and then Ashwin and Chris very much don't like it. So Vic, take over, please, and yeah, best of luck. I'll be
Thank
kind.
you. No, this is where we get the stoush in the program on the episode happening.
Yep.
So the next movie we are discussing is Sirāt, directed by Oliver Lux. I don't have IMDb, so I'm just going to try and summarize the premise
Sure.
myself. So it's set at an illegal rave party in the deserts of Morocco, and you've
Yep.
got a father and a son trying to find their missing daughter slash sister.
Yep.
And then suddenly this rave party is broken by the army. We
Hmm.
have not been given much information, but apparently the Third World War is broken down, and people and everyone with a European passport has to go into trucks that the army has sort of come to pick them up. And there's a group of ravers there who escape to go to another rave party, and
Hmm.
the father and son follow them because they suspect that their missing daughter will be perhaps at that rave party. And then the movie, it kind of kicks off, and a lot happens after that.
You know this girl? Es mi hija. Hace 5 meses que no sabemos nada de ella.
Hay otra fiesta en el desierto. A lo mejor estará por ahí.
But I have to say, before I explain why I love this movie, and this is, by the way, my number one movie of the year, so
Yep.
just putting it out there. The title card says Sirāt is essentially a bridge between hell and paradise that is narrow as a feather and sharper as a sword. Now, this is a very important point as to why the movie is named. Now, during the movie, in the middle section, something
Also, sorry,
devastating happens.
sorry, Vic. One thing.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
will be discussing Sirāt
Oh, we're
in all
discussing. Okay.
spoilers.
Okay.
We will not be tiptoeing around this narrative minefield also, because there is very important things that happen in this film, which I think put off
So in
some
that
people
case,
and don't. Yeah.
we'll keep the spoilers when everyone gets into discussions, but I'll just say why I like this movie. I like
Sure.
this movie a lot because to me it was a meditation on death. To
True.
me, it was about in absolute hopelessness.
Hmm.
The only thing that keeps you going is that what the bridge says, the bridge to paradise, is your complete belief in whatever it is you want to believe in God, in finding your daughter, or whatever that may be. And that whole thing really resonated with me. And there's a lot of things that I love about this movie, especially the sensitivity it deals with the rave scene. Now, if most people think about rave, they probably think it's like a Siddhartha Anand song, where people are all in low fat,
What?
zero body fat, dancing. But in this movie, the rave scene is captured. You've got people with weathered faces, disabled people are there. There are all kinds of body shapes and sizes, and the music by Candy Ray is banging. Like
Yep.
if this soundtrack I would strongly recommend it, even if you're not a rave fan. It's
Oh
some of the
yeah,
music is
it's
like actually
terrific.
yeah,
Hmm.
the music is terrific. It's like
Hmm.
two, like landmass gliding against each other. It's so,
Yep.
so good. It's again shot brilliantly. The sound design is terrific. And there's a moment of tenderness as well. There's some
Hmm.
very, very moments of tenderness where there's a scene where the father and son are trying, they have little food, but the son is saying, "Can I go and give this chocolate to the others?" And
Hmm.
he's like, "No, we have to keep it." But there's such little care given to this.
Hmm.
And just the two things. One is there's this amazing drone shot, wide drone shot in the middle of the movie where it's pitch black on a mountain and they have these two trucks driving up the mountain in high beam. That shot is astonishing to look at.
Mauro
I mean, I
Hearst
cannot tell you.
is the cinematographer. Mauro
It's a
Hearst. Yeah,
thank you, Boros. And it's
yeah.
just absolutely stunning. Yeah, like it looks brilliant and fabulous. But one thing to note, which I appreciated even more about this movie, the director Oliver Lux is of glacial heritage, and he spent a lot of time with these ravers in Morocco, and he converted to Sunni Islam as an adult, and
Mm-hmm.
he made this movie after that. So it was
Mm.
interesting to see the way he looked at the religion and how he introduced a certain thought of the religion into this movie and against the backdrop of a rave scene. I think that to me was fascinating because
True.
suddenly there's an Arabic prayer, there's a small shot on the TV of Mecca. It's got some great moments, and I really like it because to me it was about in its own way it was telling about that life is not fair to anyone, but
Yeah,
you need to keep going forward, and no matter how bad it is. So
yeah.
yeah, it was a good. I loved it, but I know
I think that's a
from the
great,
day
no, no, no.
here,
I think it's a great pitch and defense. I think at
uh,
least. I will allow the people who are not on with the raves, on with Vikas's raves, to put their complaints forward. Can Chris, you've been silently, or like holding your laugh or holding your ridicule. So I'm just gonna go from one extreme to the other because I think Ashwin will be little more tempered than you, and I'll definitely be more tempered
oh
than both of you. So,
no,
anyways,
please don't be. I want you to
no, no,
unleash so we can.
but I have appreciation for a lot of elements which you are talking about. So for me, it's like from that angle. I don't hate it. So Chris, please
Yeah, unlike you
step.
not hating it, I utterly despise this film.
Okay.
With every fiber of my being. I don't think I have cursed at Dhruv as much as I have after watching this film in however long we've known each
I
other.
told
But
you.
you didn't warn me enough,
Okay, fine.
clearly. But yeah, I respect where you're coming from, Vicky, and I think a part of me can uh I don't know how to articulate this, but can imagine you having such a reading from it. Like I think I see enough elements that can be put together to have such a reading. I was just staring at my screen in utter bafflement for however long this film is. The first okay, so
Okay,
as
I've
Dhruv and I've been
noted this down
discussing
because I
the film.
rewatched it today. That
Okay.
that happens at 1 hour, like literally 1 hour.
Bhavana. Okay. Yeah, okay.
That,
So
and then the other thing happens
there are
whenever.
two
Yeah,
that's in this
there are
in this
two
Yeah,
film.
there are
There is
that's
two
in this
it.
film.
that's. There are two that's. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, while the first that was coming, I was enjoying it. I
Hmm.
am not as bought into the vibes as Dhruv is.
Okay.
Not my kind of vibes
No,
that
it's
I
not my
enjoy.
kind of. You think I listen to rave music? I thought it was just done
No, I
well.
was I was just
Okay.
going to say when Vikas said the rave music is banging. I'm like, yeah, it's like banging my head against a wall.
Oh,
That's
come
what
on! It
I
was so good.
Okay, can
Yeah.
I can I ask a question? Did you all watch this in at a cinema or did you all watch it at
No,
home?
no. There's no
no
available.
at
It's not
home.
available in the
Yeah,
cinema
it's not
anywhere.
Okay, so
available.
I just want to say that I'm not. This is a very immersive movie. I watched it at the Melbourne
Yeah.
Film Festival, and the Dolby sound was like I
Okay.
cannot describe it. So maybe the immersive experience really got me. I'm not sure. I think Dhruv, I told you as well. If you're watching it at home, beware. You may not have the same
I mean, no, but I
experience.
had
Hmm.
no
Yeah.
issues with the vibes. I was fully into them. I watched it at home only. So Chris
No,
is a
and it's
different
also
case.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have the fact that rave music is the kind of stuff that I don't enjoy.
Okay. Yeah.
It is very headache inducing music for me very personally.
This is, by the
So
way, this is the person whose music taste is suspect at best. Just
yeah.
to
So I'm
put a
just saying it's
star.
for
Yeah.
me. I'm not making
I
any
get it.
qualitative
I know.
assessments.
I'm just putting this forth as a sort of
Oh,
yeah.
sure. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. I
Mm.
thought, there's a concept here, and I think the aesthetically it's a very interesting looking film. The views of the speakers throughout, I think, work as a really nice element, sort of juxtaposing it with the sort of expansive, like orange of the desert.
If you see the
sort of
poster,
scale.
the good poster, the very good
Yeah,
poster.
the good poster.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't. I late. Chris told me how bad the other posters are, which I then saw, and I was like in agreement with. The very good poster is the one with the two giant speakers, which look like
Speakers,
monoliths.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's this, like the bridge thing is there with the slight gap
sliver of
between
light.
them, and then
Yeah.
basically him standing beneath them. So yeah, that sort of is a good sort of
So the visual
visual.
elements I thought were interesting. I think till the first that happens,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm able to be invested in this, and I mean it's fine, it's going whatever. It's I even if it's not my vibes, I'm not opposed to vibes. Then that happens. Okay, I was like casually lounging, okay, in my chair, and I properly like sat up and like my jaw dropped for a second, and I was like, excuse me. Fine, okay, you've got my attention now. Okay, we are whatever
Yeah,
it may be,
to
you've
get your
got
attention,
my
they needed to do that. Yeah.
okay, you did that. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's accept it. Okay, we're
Okay.
going, and it has more of the traveling and the landscape and all
Vibesing.
of that.
Hmm.
Vibesing. Okay. And then the second that happens, and the way that second that happens, Dhruv has made wonderful comparisons to Mohit Suri's Hamari Adhuri Kahani. So I get to say that Oliver Dash has plagiarized Mohit Suri to make this film.
To be fair, there is no sign in this, and he doesn't lovingly walk into a minefield, like in
But
Hamari Adhuri Kahani.
I haven't seen
but
that, luckily. Yeah.
Oh, he lovingly, while singing Hamari Adhuri Kahani, walks into a minefield when there is a sign of a minefield is here,
Oh my
legitimately right
God.
next to him. And I'm like, listen, I get it, romanticism, blindness, sure, but you surely can't miss the sign. It's there. But anyways,
Pyar Mein Andha didn't know literally apply.
yeah, yeah. Anyways,
But no, when that second that happens,
mm.
I was about to rip the hair out of my head, okay? And then another that happens like about 30 seconds after.
Okay,
It,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
two that's happen simultaneously.
Mm.
And then you're like, okay, now what? And then okay, so they then do like some stuff to get through, which
Then it becomes more
surprisingly enough,
procedural, like
yeah,
a
there is
sort
a
of
parallel between that and Ikkis, which is really funny, which I think Ikkis does it
interesting.
much more interestingly.
Not seen.
But
Don't spoil,
Me, same.
won't
please.
spoil.
Haven't seen.
But then the third that happens, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but after
Uh,
that, aren't you like into the that's?
I'm
It's
like,
not that
why?
anymore. Like it's
No, it's
just
not
regular
that
stuff.
anymore.
It's
No.
not that, it's my God, that.
Okay.
And then it just ends and nothing and it's
Ah,
over.
Okay,
And
that's
I'm
a bit
like,
harsh.
yeah,
But
literally,
anyways.
because once you've set up a certain desire for the main character, okay,
Yeah.
you've got the first that which then even makes
I mean, you
that
can say it
situation
now, okay,
worse.
fine. It's okay.
I know. I
Okay,
think
That,
people will be
spoilers.
wondering
we are
what's
doing
that.
spoilers, that, the first
Spoiler.
that,
So
and then
the
the other that.
the father is searching for her daughter, or for his
Yes.
daughter. My
Yeah.
apologies. And then you get the son dying, which is like, okay, now the
Son and
conflict is
dog, both.
son and
Son and
dog.
dog.
Yeah.
Now you get this thing even more. So, I mean, you would expect something that now he's even more adamant about finding his daughter because now he's also lost his son. So you're like, you've lost both. Might as
Hmm.
well, like, if you've done neither and come here and just lost your son, that despondence would be even greater.
Yeah.
And then nothing comes of it. It's entirely forgotten. And the
Okay.
film just kind of ends. And I'm like, I don't like, while the commentary about the world ending and these white people in Morocco and the rape culture and the I get that, but it's too much of set dressing for me because neither does that element of it for me cohere into an interesting political commentary, nor do the interpersonal relationships. I would say minus the one lady who becomes super close to them. I think
Steffi, the one who
no,
survives.
Jade. No, not her. I think
Okay, the
English
one
it's
who,
written as Jade.
the one who says blow it all up.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
When
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second that happens. Yeah. No, again, funnily enough, because I take a lot of breaks between watching films, I had sort of Googled the film in the middle and I saw that poster, which has got this character right in the middle in that pose. And immediately after I restart the film, I see that happen, and then she fucking explodes.
So, okay.
Anyways, so the interpersonal narrative doesn't really come through for me. The political narrative doesn't really come for me. The vibes are not vibing enough. So it's a bit of a hot mess. And I was just like, what have you done to me? I want to go home. Mummy, mujhe ghar jana.
But they also want to go home after a point. So, you were vibing on that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I want them to die. I want to go home.
Okay, I didn't want that. Come on. Anyways, Ashwin, slightly less disparaging, perhaps.
Yeah, so for me, I watched it with a crowd at
Yeah, you
International
watched it
Film
at the film festival,
Festival.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we were all like, vibing with it. So it was fun for me. Like I had a much more pleasant experience than Chris because like I was with a huge crowd, like 1,000 people,
Sure.
and they were all gasping when the kid was dying and people were exploding. So I was enjoying that, but I kind of checked out of the movie when the death happens because
The first
um
that happens. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
first that happens because for me, see, I mean, initially I thought it was going to be like I see the Love and Jura thing, like
The
again, it's a
Antonioni
movie
thing,
where
yeah,
a
yeah.
woman disappears and they look
Hmm.
for her, and like after like a quarter or a half into the movie, they completely forgets about
Forget.
her
Hmm.
for a very good reason, a reason that changed cinema forever. But here, then like I was completely like in line with them for the whole forgetting the girl part. But and I kind of understand when Vikas says it's about like life is hell,
Hmm.
and yet you like kind try to survive kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for that you are basically killing your lead, like, or kind of a co-lead character, like abruptly and
Hmm.
graphically. Like, I don't know. I couldn't buy into that. Um, and I was like completely lost interest in the movie, like at that point, and everything happened afterwards. It was like, didn't mean anything to me.
Hmm.
And the setting of the, apocalyptic, like some World War III is going on, it felt pretty like random and abstract to me.
It is very, yeah.
Yeah,
It
why
is.
couldn't
Hmm.
this have been like set in contemporary times where there are actual wars happening like across the world everywhere, like, so if it were actually settled into the present anxiety, like maybe I could have like
Sure.
somehow like what do you say, like sympathized with that, but no, it's not there. But the most generous reading of it is to me is like the existential threat, like life is pointless, it's hell, you could die, you could explode any moment. But I that movie could have been like much better, like if like I think it could have been executed better if that was his intention. From some interviews that of Oliver Lax that I've
Hmm.
read, it feels like there is something spiritual in the movie, that his intention of the movie is somewhat spiritual, but I didn't get that as
Yeah.
well. So
Fair.
yeah, I'm not a fan of it. And the rave thing, I was oversold on this. The rave thing, like people told there is a lot of that happening, but there is not much of rave happening in the
The
movie.
music is there more so than the rave
The music
scene.
is throughout, yeah.
Yeah, music is throughout. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The raving itself is like what? The starting and then in
Just
the
the starting. Yeah,
and the blow it
That's the
all up.
starting, yeah.
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 So I'm not a big fan of this
Which is fair. I
series.
mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'll chip in, and I'll say I rewatched it just because I was. So I will give first credit where it's due. I didn't like the film, but it was knocking in my head since I watched it. So I was like, great job. It made me curious about Oliver Lax's work actually, and I went back and watched his second feature called Mimosas, which is also set in the Moroccan landscape. And to me, at least, it does a better job at this faith thing than this does. And I think this okay. So one of the few things I really appreciate, I think what Vic has said, is the score. I think is terrific. I was vibing. I wasn't with the crowd. I was nicely. I had headphones, and I'm not into rave music at all. And I'm not that type of person only at all. Let me just say. So I was very happy to be introduced into this culture where both the rave stuff and even the landscape stuff I think is fantastic. might even think that he's a better director of landscapes than of people, which is why I think Mimosas also works a little bit more, because it gets increasingly into Werner Herzog territory, which I think suits him much more than this, which I think goes into Gaspar Noé territory of blowing people up, like, willy nilly, where I'm just like, okay, anyways, one of those things. But I think what Chris is saying about the end, like, to me, it is very much about found family more than anything else. Like the sense of finding family within these people when your own family is sort of dissipated, or like is literally falls down, off a cliff, which I think is too extreme of a gesture in the film in the first place. I also don't get why it's there when you're going to lead up to the blowing up part in any case. To me, I'm like, just, if you're going to do the kill my darlings section of it, then kill the person on the mine, like, kill the child whilst he's playing with the dog on a minefield. Like, to me, it's like the first incident is too much of a crutch to lead on to the second big incident, which is, I think, fairly disingenuous for a film which is otherwise quite vibesy and quite free floating in its sort of, we are just going along with these characters. So to me, it's interesting. So the biggest note I had after the second rewatch was that, or after my first rewatch, sorry, was that he's setting himself up a very tough task, Lax is, of essentially asking us to care about, firstly, characters who make quote unquote dumb decisions, in the sense that, or if you want to buy into the spirituality of it, like, decisions that sort of only make sense to them on in a sort of obsessive sense, than in any other. And he's making these characters European ravers in Morocco. I'm like, there's two hurdles you've created there to sympathize with these people. Firstly, when characters in the film themselves ask, why are you coming with us? You know the desert is hell. We are not used to, we are not going to take accountability for whatever happens. I'm like, they are correct. Please listen to them and turn back. That's the first instinct I got as a viewer. The second is the whole idea of European ravers and even a father in a Moroccan space, right? What does that mean? Because a lot of the readings of the film are that it is about colonialism, it is about sort of this imperialism, but I'm like, clearly Lax has sympathy for these characters. There is no questioning that. I think he cares about these people very much, and I think he is, in his way, with the whole minefield thing, getting at the whole idea that these people are, in essence, also human, of course, but also part of the system which refuses to engage with reality. They think that going to the party will cure everything. They think going to the party will save them from the world war that's happening, which is, of course, not the case. So to me, it's like, if that is your whole thing, then why have the child even die before that? I'm like, firstly, I just don't. I think on a basic principle of, things happen whenever they happen. I'm like, even on that principle, why do you need that to happen then? Just have it happen at the minefield, so that there's no, like that feels like like a parlor trick someone pulls on someone in the child incident, I mean.
No,
The
and I
blow it.
also feel like that moment cheapens the found family thing for me quite a bit. I feel
No, but
like
I think the whole idea is that after that, the found family is even more important. No, because it's the
no,
whole
but
idea that they are
yeah,
the
but I
ones
feel
who,
like
like,
it's like in an idea where you keep it and you're able to comfort in that moment, or where you're essentially comparing the death of your own versus the death of someone you found,
yeah.
would have been much more poetic than, because then you're showing that investment in that blood relation, right? Like, yeah, they are comforting him, but you're seeing that despondence of his come through the death of that child, right? So I feel like these two threads of like blood family and found family for me conflict there. So that latter doesn't remain into the minefield because of that, which sort of breaks that, because otherwise they've got
Sure.
some nice tender moments of like the being pulled through that water, and
Yeah.
kicking off the bumper of the car. Like, there are interesting moments until then, but the moment like that happens to me, that thread sort of breaks. Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
And I think the first time I watched it, at least, I was like, why is this not more of a procedural? Because the other comparison that's been made with this film is Sorcerer by William Friedkin, which is a fantastic film, but it's desperately nihilistic in some ways,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
very much all about procedure, all about like there's a justification for why these men are doing this, in the sense that they are exploited by the whole idea that the company is sending them and they'll, like, provide them a way out of this place that anyways European or American imperialism has blown to hell. So again, there the logistics are very much a part of the plan. Here it's more like, metaphysical, you want to say, or obsessive or spiritual, which is fine. But I think the second time I was much more fine with the procedural not being the focus, because I think Oliver Lax isn't into the procedural bits of it. Because I think earlier I was like, why not even show the exact things that happen, how the car falls down, because it doesn't set it up. It is literally like the car just starts running backwards. And I'm like, okay, so he's very much going for that shit happens thing, like, shit blows up in your face sometimes, which I'm like, again, but I would be very curious if that incident isn't there, and if the incidents are all in the minefield that happen, and then where the film goes from there. Because to me, that makes more sense, even as the sense that then you're in a predicament as a viewer. Do you sympathize with these people who are, on the one hand, European ravers unaware of the world, going to the party to get away from it, but also they have a found family relationship with each other, so you are conflicted between sympathizing with them but also condemning them for their ignorance of being in this place. To me, that tension is not there that much, especially after the thing happens where the son dies. And to me, then it's basically a case of just watching the whole fate thing take place, which I find interesting in theory, and I disagree that the film ends like just like that. I think the film does end in a sort of reconciliation with reality, and sort of the last shot of the film is what, the train tracks looking forward, right, and you going through that. So it's a very classic cinema image of like moving forward through trains and all that. And then I get the whole thing it's going for, I think, on the second viewing much more. So I'm clear about it, but the clarity now doesn't necessarily mean I'm into it as an emotional experience, but I am very fascinated by it still. And I have to say that yeah, like, I think Chris's experience of it is a little too, like, to me, it's like it's a little too extreme, I suppose. To me, I'm like, it's not that bad. Like, to me,
I
it's
think Chris would have liked it if suddenly they all said, "All cool boys, put your hands up and say Om Shanti Om." She would have probably liked it
in the
a lot
mind.
more.
Yes, I mean, you replace the rave with like Bollywood music, I'm sold. Ho gaya.
No, but if I
Yeah.
may present some rebuttals to the
Yes, yes,
arguments, because
absolutely.
I'm
Please.
not,
This is the.
I get it, I hear it, and
Hmm,
they're absolutely reasonable ones.
hmm.
But couple of points here.
Yeah.
You have to understand this movie, we have to understand the rave scene. So for
Yeah.
professional ravers,
Hmm.
that is like a drug. So, to the point of saying that that's where they find solace. So
Yeah.
even when they know that their world they want to go to the next because they're addicted to raving. So
Yeah.
that's the
Hmm.
sort of hook that they keep going to the next rave party even
Yeah.
when the world is coming to an end. And
Hmm.
to your point is again, all the political stuff is incidental. Like
Hmm.
these white Europeans are like that. They don't care about where they are, what they do. They
Yeah.
just want to party the night away, even if the
Yeah.
world is burning.
Yeah.
But even then, there is this element of giving us that insight into a certain kind of a race and how they look at others.
Yeah.
But also, you have to bear in mind, it's not just the son. There's a dog and the son, they both die.
Yeah.
Now, a child and a dog are two creatures
Yeah.
where everyone gets invested if you're in a group. You go on a holiday, you get a
Hmm.
dog with a group of people, and you carry a child. Everyone is surrounding them. And if you notice, the dog falls sick before the death, and the
Yes.
whole group is very, very worried.
Yeah.
Everyone really cares
Yeah.
because they're all invested. So I think the decision to kill the child with the dog and not
Hmm.
show that was a cathartic moment for this particular group to sort of say, well, this is really bad. This shit's happened. But
Hmm.
it is that addiction to go to the next rave scene. And for the father, the motivation is to go find his daughter there. So
Hmm.
they have these motivations to go there. Now, fair enough, it doesn't translate perhaps the way you would want it to,
Hmm.
but I can see what he was trying to do and why he was trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the second that happens, she clearly says, if the world is going to end, I want to die dancing. Let's put
Yeah.
the music on. And
Mm.
she's actually she actually blows up dancing to the
Yeah.
music because these people, that's their entire life. It's like drugs for them. It's like this is the music. They want
Mm.
to dance, they want to do that.
Mm.
But also, I think the father character to me was more saying that he is the one who's crossing that bridge, which
Sure.
is sharper than a sword and narrower than. And
Yeah.
that's why all of these people are falling off. They are not able to cross that bridge.
Mm.
And he's only going there. And that's where the faith comes in, where he's like, if you really want to reach paradise, you have to be determined. And for him, that
Mm.
paradise is, at least my reading was,
Mm.
he's still hopeful that he'll find his daughter somewhere,
Daughter. Yeah.
somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he goes. And that's that
Mm-hmm.
determination. And he's the only one who survives the minefield, whereas others just don't. So
I
for
mean, two
me, there
others
were
do, right? The Steffi
two
and the
others, and a
villager.
dog does
Yeah.
as well. There are two dogs. So yeah,
The
the other
dog also
dog
does.
and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I get what he was trying to do, and it completely worked for me.
Mm.
I was besotted because to me it was this guy saying he's actually making a plea about religion to sort of say if you have faith in God
Mm.
and you follow that path,
Mm.
you will eventually survive through, and that's exactly what's happening. And he's obviously using the text of Quran and stuff to sort of make those
Yeah.
points. But I can see the criticism of both Chris and Ashwin here to sort of say that what's the point of these things? But I kind of get it, and
Mm.
I'm still like I remember coming out of the theater and I was like I had an out of body experience because I was like this is not something I was prepared for.
Sure.
And but yeah, it was mixed
Uh,
reactions. Like I had a friend of mine who was like, I just can't, I hated it. Then somewhere I loved it. So
yeah.
it is a polarizing movie and it will evoke different reactions,
I
but
think
I responded way better
no, absolutely
yeah.
makes sense, and I think the reason why Mimosas, his previous film, works, I think more for me is because it works as much for a skeptic as it does for a religious person.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's got the ambiguity in that is to allow you to sort of pass through the meaning that comes at the end of the film as something which is deeply cynical, or if you're religious, probably something transcendental or whatever you want to call it. So to me, Mimosas has that ambiguity which I liked because I am more of a skeptic in that sense, and I thought a lot of the film was about blind faith, essentially making people lose their minds in a way which sort of ends in a position of
yeah,
no return. Like, to me, it was more that than sort of having a faith which sort of empowers you to move on, which, again, I think it's about that belief system, because I think it's very
yeah,
similar to Sirāt in some ways, because it is about a journey to a very journey inside a mountainous terrain which is very unreliable, which people tell the people they shouldn't go to, but they're like, yeah, I will go to this place to bury a dead body of all things. So it's almost this whole thing where, but the whole idea in that is that the people involved are hypnotized by a sort of religious fervor or belief, which is there here too, I'm sure, because the rave is that, I suppose, for the ravers, and for him, it's the search for the daughter. But to me, there it felt like I feel, I guess, there's a more cohesive narrative structuring there, weirdly enough, even though it is more ambiguous, it feels more
yeah.
narratively bound. Here, it just feels like it's a little too
It is
amorphous.
abstract. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is
Yeah.
abstract and open
Mm.
interpretation. But my singular take was that in absolute when life, it's like you see it in like Shawshank Redemption, all these movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the face of absolute hopelessness, God
Yep.
is the only solace you can find and the only crutch. And he
Yep.
probably gets a long minefields across to get there. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm
No,
still pro
totally.
it. I love it.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, no, I don't think anyone was trying here to convince you to be not pro it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I
Absolutely.
No, no,
think,
no, I get it. I'm just saying
mm,
that I was trying to maybe sell it to you guys to say, or maybe
yeah.
revisit it and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
I
don't
get
think
the
Chris will
faith
be
thing
revisiting it.
actually, like how he survives that, like walking across that minefield. It's just, he's just walking in blind faith, not worried about
yeah,
anything. That's the
yeah.
key kind of thing. But I would like to think that life is more, I have more control in my life. Like, I mean,
Sure, sure.
as,
Huh, so I
as
Yeah,
think it's
yeah, yeah,
about
hopeless
both
sure.
as
the
No,
it
no,
is,
yeah.
absolutely. I think
yeah, as
yeah,
hopeless as life generally is, but
Mm.
I'm not really completely sold on what he's
Sure,
like
the spirituality you're not
Yeah,
sold
sure.
on. If you're not sold on it, then of course it'll
Yeah,
fall flat, right? I mean, I think
yeah,
that's
Yeah,
even
it
very
hasn't spoken
accepted.
to you in a way. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
yeah. Chris,
No, no, I mean, I don't at all want to like dampen on how much you've enjoyed it. And it's very interesting, that to me at the end of the day, that a film that I like this happened in a very different way. And I don't want to compare the two films at all, but with a film like Train Dreams, which like I could not and did not get at all. But a lot of people have considered it their favorite of the year because something has resonated with them. And I think it's a very interesting and wonderful part of what we do. But again, I like bitching about stuff, so I'm going to be here and I'm going to bitch about it. But like I'm more than happy that you're arguing for the film, so that if there is someone out there who gets it the way you do, they get
I'm sure
bit
there
of the
are. I
film.
think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, there are
productive to have
few
like
people.
that.
But
That
I'm with you on Train Dreams. Even I didn't get it, and all the
Thank
critical acclaim
God.
to me is
None of us like
like
it. Yeah,
none of us
exactly.
like it here.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Let's sleep. That was my sentiment while
yeah,
watching Train Dreams. Anyways, we mentioned Sound of Falling, that which reminded me of actually a good Terrence Malick impression at sometimes, as opposed to Train Dreams, which I think is a bad Terrence Malick impression. But
yeah.
anyways, we shall move on from people blowing up to people blowing up bulls, I guess. Not to be taken in a different connotation, of course. But anyways, this is the film called Afternoons of Solitude. But Chris, what is the actual title of this film?
I will find you the actual title of the film, which is Tardes de Soledad. Again, terrible
What a
pronunciation.
horrible, Chris, horrible. We discussed this joke before.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. My
Horrible.
mistake. Sorry. Sorry,
Come
this
on.
film that is alternatively titled Ah Bel Mujhe Maar.
Yes. Come on. We had Ah Bell
Or as
Mujhe
you call it.
Ah Bell Main Tujhe Maru, which is the
Yes, yes.
alternative for Hindi listen for people
You
who
forgot the
get Hindi.
misogyny joke. I'm allowed to forget one joke as well. Come
Okay,
on.
fine, fine.
Anyways. Afternoons of Solitude is a documentary film directed by Albert Serra, which follows a very famous bullfighter named Andre Rocare across, I think, 14 of his, I think I read somewhere, of his
Andre
sort
who?
of
Oh,
bullfight.
Rocare. Okay. I
Rocare.
was like, what
And
pronunciation is this? Anyways, yeah.
it's got a really interesting summary on or the bit on IMDb, which I think is going to contrast very wonderfully with the discussion we're having, which
Okay.
is explores the spiritual pain of bullfighting, the tormented torero in a ring, one of the most excessive and graphic examples of the origin of Southern European civilization.
Okay.
Is how it is described on IMDb. It's edited by Sarah and Arthur Tort Pujol,
Who's the CEO? Who's
and
the DOP? Arthur
who is also the
Todd.
DOP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's as IMDb suggests, it follows Rocare through a number of these bullfights. And I'm gonna open it with because this is something I texted Dhruv, which I find really funny, is this film, which is about, in a certain sense, an epitome of masculinity, as you would expect, of aggression, of bravery, courage, of a man fighting this beast which is constantly around him. Your lead is a like clean shaven baby faced like twink who is in like sparkly clothing, and it's such a wonderfully poetic juxtaposition, which I think sort of governs the film and is most sort of poignantly see or most like prominently seen in the choice of how the film frames these bullfights, particularly by focusing on Andre's face.
Hmm.
Most of the film features not, or even though there are shots of his body, it focuses primarily on his face, his expressions, how he's sort of processing
I have
this thing
no
that
idea
he's
how
doing.
they shot this, by the way. Like how he's managed to keep the camera floating and like shoot it from this angle, which always feels like it's like in a medium and then is
Yeah.
almost zooming in, but like, it's absolutely unlike what you see on tele. I've never seen bullfighting, of course, but like sports photography in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
No, it definitely turns you from that distant voyeurism to a much more
Yeah.
intimate interaction between these two entities, between the
Yeah.
bullfighter and the bull,
Yeah.
which really sort of uh, you know points out it simultaneously makes the brutality feel a lot more real, not as like a distant observation, but
Mm.
it also almost I don't want to say romanticizes it, but takes a much more sentimental approach towards the harm that the bull takes and
Oh
the harm
yeah.
that the does to the bullfighter. And
I
each
wanted the
time,
bull to win every time. I'll be very clear.
I would say the other way around. I was very much
Yeah, of course you
invested in
support the
what
guy, not the
He,
bull,
she's,
of
he's,
course.
he
the guy,
supports the
not the, I
twink.
mean, it's not a guy, but not the guy.
Sorry,
But
I said it and then I was like, I have to play on the variation of it. But anyways,
I was going to
yeah.
say he just supports the twink, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, of course he does. What a shock. I was like,
no.
I was like, the bull should absolutely run over all these people sitting in the car. Yeah.
No, I felt that towards the other people because again they approach it much more
Okay.
distantly, right? You've
Yeah.
got the one person who's on the horse who's sort of impaling the bull. You've got the others who sort of throw these spikes at the bull. But
Yeah.
with Rokare, he's literally, it's almost going by him very, very intimately and very closely. So
Yeah.
you feel it much more, and it's much more ritualistically, almost like dance like
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Performance only
they
it is.
have
Yeah.
yeah performance. But the beauty of it comes from the moments outside of also the bullfight, which is one, the moments while they're waiting in for the bull to come out, and the conversations that the different members of the team have with each other, as well as moments in the car together when they're
The
traveling
car
back.
is the comedic heart of this film. It is so hilarious, honestly. Like the camera
it
angle he's chosen to frame is also wonderful. It's just like our main character is in close up almost, and then
yeah.
there's like everyone whose head is sticking out of the frame a little bit, and but all their voices are sort of coming in from all the sides, and I'm just like, this is like a joke, like a funny, like
Yeah,
a hilarious joke. Yeah.
it's lovely, but it's also the contrast, right? It's he does all of this, but his eyes are
Yeah.
always uncertain. They're
Yeah.
melancholic,
Yeah.
almost. They are, and so much of it is about his insecurity. Whereas his
Hmm.
teammates are trying to say, not only are you an amazing bullfighter, you are a legendary one,
You
and
have
they're
the biggest
always like.
balls. That's the. I've
Keep
never
saying
heard.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've
My
never
God.
heard people talk about balls this much. Honestly, like,
Again, welcome to like a homoeroticism 101. Like
okay,
it for some reason reminded me so much of the dialogue from Point Break by Catherine Bigelow, which is young,
Yeah.
dumb, and full of cum.
Full
That's
of
okay,
cum,
exactly
yeah. I remember that
the
dialogue.
kind of vibe that it gets, because again, incredibly homoerotic film, that one as well. But it's but it's in those delicate moments that so much more of it comes through. He's nervous about, did he stab the bull correctly, why is it not falling, because it's
yeah.
that's the kind of ritualistic thing that's
I
supposed
got
to happen. It's supposed
lucky.
to
Yeah.
he got lucky, and it's
Hmm.
like, oh, am I performing well enough, so on and so forth. But I
Hmm.
think, and I said that I could write possibly an entire paper on a single scene of this
Yeah.
film, which is the scene where Andre's character Andre gets dressed up to go
Oh my
into
God.
this.
Yeah, awesome. I love that scene. Yeah, continue.
It's
Yeah.
such a, like, I told Dhruv, it is just, it's drag without the tucking and the lip sync. Like that's what it is
Yeah.
basically. And you get this, like, I was almost reminded of like Titanic or any of those like classic corsetry scenes in a
Hmm.
lot of period films that you get, where women are laced up into corsets, but you get this extended scene of him first, in his undergarments, and then them putting this really, like, and first he gets to pick, okay, what color do you want to wear?
Pink, like shocking
Yeah.
pink. He chooses.
Does he choose the pink or does he choose the black one? I forget.
I forget.
The red one is earlier. I think he chooses a black
There's a
one,
lot
black
of
and
red
gold.
in this movie in general because of the whole bullfighting, I think. Also, yeah.
Yeah, and so sort of his sort of manager helps him put it on, and then the way he sort of like literally lifted off the ground to make sure he fits into it
Right.
properly, and then the different elements and if things are tied on, you've got like classic like a button, those hooks which like each button is put on like with a hook in very like particular fashion, and his sort of bolero or jacket is put on, and even the way he has his hair clipped back and the rosary around his neck, it puts him in this like visually deeply feminine sort of position in order to go and then kill a quote unquote beast,
Yeah.
as the film refers to it often, is such a interesting exploration of our deeply constructed and arbitrary notions of masculinity and what it means to quote unquote be a man, and
Hmm.
how even violence can be framed in such feminine coded ways. And I think it does a wonderful play of these deeply philosophical or deeply like essentialistic ideas that we hold about gender and sexuality, and turns them into this rhythm, and introspects on them without saying anything,
Oh
without
yeah,
doing
this
anything.
is this is like if Frankenstein was good to me, basically, because it's the whole, humanizing the beast and bestializing the human in many ways. The whole that dynamic. I'm like, just watch this. You don't need to watch Frankenstein and the sanctimonious lecture you get every 2 seconds and that. Like, you can just watch this. It's so like observant. And I hate to dump on Frankenstein, by the way. I thought I was a huge admirer of everything that GDT does, but clearly not. I just absolutely
I
despised
am not a fan of
Frankenstein.
GDT at all,
I
but that is just
hated
one.
Frankenstein, though, I can tell you that. But anyways, this one is
But
just.
listening to,
Hmm?
so I was just saying, listening to Chris, I haven't watched the movie. I
Hmm.
feel the only thing the movie misses is like a song like Janabe Ali or Jai Jai Shri Shankar between the bull and the twink, and I think that would like nail it.
So
uh,
I think that's the I think that would then push it into such a parodic territory that when the person who watches it is like, "What have you made?" Like, like they'll be like, "Shut this thing down." Whereas
Yeah.
here, I think the lack of all that is like, if you show this to them, and I know the people were like they'll sue Albert Serra after this show, and the weird thing is he said they found it quote unquote too violent, and he said it in a way where it was like, this is like ludicrous. Anyways, so the whole thing is that if they still watch it, they might still find it to be a praiseworthy celebration of them. It's one of those things where it's like,
Hmm.
but if you're looking, I think even a little closely, you can clearly see the seams he's picking apart here, very deliberately. But he does it in a way which is like, you don't need to be told when you can see all this happening in the face of it, right? So this is entirely that sort of film where you're like seeing how much the odds are stacked up against the beast, which I'm like, Chris, how can you sympathize with the
No,
twink
again, I
even?
want to
uh
make it clear before I get accused of condoning animal cruelty. It is very, very much like the film does a lot to and really wonderfully, and I'm sure Dhruv will get into it to humanize the beast, quote unquote. I'm saying it mostly for the shits and giggles that obviously I was quote unquote I was sympathizing with the man, but I absolutely get the commentary that it is going for and agree with it wholeheartedly
Yeah,
before
I
I
mean,
get in more trouble.
there is an argument that do you need to see the violence to empathize with it? And I'm like, in this context, it made sense to me. Like, it didn't feel gratuitous for the sake of it.
Hmm.
It's like, if it is a ritual and repetition for these people, there are multiple incidents you see. Actually, there's like four different bullfighting incidents you see in this. Once he fails in how
Hmm.
to control it. There's one which he violently gets attacked and almost survives by luck, which is captured on camera, and I was not expecting it. So when it happened, I was like, Jesus Christ, like, it's one of those, because otherwise it's a very fairly deliberately stayed in the way it's shot and everything, and it's still shot in that same way. But when the bull attacks the person, it was like a jolting moment to me. But anyways, it's all about how stacked the odds are against this beast. And the wonderful thing actually in the about the film is it begins with the shot of of the bull at night, sort of roaming around and rearing, like, moving freely in a sense, you can say. and it then match cuts to to our bullfighter's face, which I think is an interesting match cut made, because I think there is an element of that person also being reared around by the people around him into believing stuff that he actually doesn't believe. Anyways, the bulls are like they are, it's horrible to actually watch them on screen whenever, and it's not that the film gratuitously pulls to close-ups of the violence, but it's at a distance where you can see it happening. And it's got this recurring image of it sticking out its tongue whenever it's like, running, or which I found deeply discomforting all the time I saw it, at least. So naturally, any filmmaker making a film about bullfighting who is a little socially conscious will not make a film that endorses bullfighting. I was shocked that this is still like something which, happens, even because I've never followed it. But it's also just one of those things where I'm like, it's this film is also doing that thing of putting the past in the present, which a lot of films do, in the sense that all of them are dressing up like aristocrats, or this whole idea of maintaining a sort of regality of the past, and like this control. And Ashwin, you've just seen Pacifiction, which is Albert Serra's previous film, and he's made other films about. There's one called The Death of Louis something. I forget which number, 25, I think,
I don't
or
know.
whichever number, some
Yeah.
aristocrat. Anyways, it's about the death ritual that takes place in this, and how he's observing these worlds in which all this corrosiveness is happening, but he's looking at it as opposed to saying, look at this corrosiveness, look at it, like, it's that sort of zone he's operating in. So I think in Afternoons of Solitude, I got that feeling of just being consistently in this zone of satire, of course, because it is funny the way he's treated, but also just
Yeah.
abject horror of like what man is capable of doing to just maintain the illusion of masculinity, which I thought was there throughout. And I was just like fairly enamored by the way he did it. I had zero interest in this film, even though I love Albert Serra's previous film. But I was like, oh, my mistake for like not having interest in it, because I really ended up liking it. So yeah, Ashwin, sorry, go ahead. We move on after this.
Um, yeah, so I watched it last night,
Yeah.
and yeah, I really loved it actually.
Hmm.
So first of all, like when the camera was not moving and there were no talking heads or anything usually, like
Yeah.
in these documentaries
Oh
they
yeah.
talk and explain these
Hmm.
things. So I thought Sarah was going for like a Frederick Weissman kind of a thing
Sure.
where he's the spectator, like he just stays there. He's
Yeah.
not at all intruding into the thing.
Hmm.
But then I realized that no, in those documentaries, he's really is the spectator, and those things go on for like 4 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah.
No, he just sets the camera there and captures everything and then gives it to us. Like we
Hmm.
get to decide. But this is actually totally opposite because the camera is so invasive and
Yeah.
he showed like 600 hours of the footage and they cut it down to there is a deliberateness to the way he has cut it down to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So then I realized, yeah, it's not. It's very he knows exactly what he wants. And in the way the fights are framed, like he excludes the arena, excludes the audience.
Yeah.
It's just the bull and the guy,
Hmm.
and we're always in that medium and the close-up shots of
Yeah.
it. Uh, and kind of the weird solitude that
Hmm.
he experiences, but that IMDb description is bullshit, by the way. Like it's not about his torment. Nobody cares actually. The
Yeah.
Sarah definitely doesn't care. Like we don't when we watch the movie, we don't care.
Hmm.
And after the matches, we see him in the car scenes. They're so funny, like where
Hmm.
his the entourage, so to speak, like praises his huge balls. Like seriously, it's so many times,
Yeah.
and it's um you can see like it's meant to be funny.
Yeah.
And the scene that Chris mentioned, it's just it feels like he's getting ready for a ballet or some sort
Yeah.
like a drag
Yeah.
race or
I
something.
was to but the one sorry one well, it's not criticism, but it's again one of those things where I'm like, I actually was always waiting for the film to go outside the arena, because I was also very discomforted by what was going on in the arena. I guess it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
that. So it's the movie's
yeah, yeah.
strength, but I was also much more fascinated by everything that happens outside it, because I was like, I know what Sarah is doing here, and I really like how he's doing it, sort of that way. So yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
And when they show the actual show what is actually happening with between him and the bull, and
yeah,
then the conversation afterwards, like we
hmm,
know what happened, and
hmm,
then they praise him, like like, oh,
hmm,
this bull was so bad, like it was like
yeah,
aggressive, whatever, and you did so well.
yeah,
It's so funny, like it actually like shows, like I until today, until I watched the
hmm,
movie, I didn't know
hmm,
how much the odds were stacked against the bull. Like
yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like a bull just let out in the arena and
same,
the guy is
same,
gonna
yeah,
fight it. But that's not the case. Like I actually read about it. Like
Yeah.
hmm,
first of all, these bulls are like specifically bred for this,
hmm,
and they are never allowed to see a human being like
Mm.
until the day
hmm,
of this event. Like so, it's like they're seeing like a brand new thing, for the first time in their
hmm,
life. And of course, there is those spikes that
spikes,
are
Mm.
yeah,
like,
hmm,
stuck onto the shoulders. It's called
hmm,
banderillos or something.
Mm.
hmm,
To like what do you say? Like incapacitate the shoulder muscles or something.
hmm,
Yeah.
And apparently, like until like early 1930s or something, that horse guy, who comes to do this, like
Mm.
hmm,
the horse didn't have an armor at the time,
Yeah.
hmm.
and in those days, apparently more horses die than the bulls.
Oh yeah,
And
because horses are, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are
yeah,
also
but
there.
now the
Yeah.
horses have armor, so all of this
Ah,
is to
okay.
actually help the man, basically. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Mm.
that happens, when the horse comes in,
Hmm.
like they get to see the bullfighter get to judge like in what way, which horn the bull prefers to attack
Mm.
the horse,
Yeah.
Okay.
at what size, like how it is attacking, and all those things.
Hmm.
So it is like it's just a spectacle. It's just like a ritualistic,
Yeah.
display of masculinity, which is so stupid. And so I like how the film has like taken the spectacle out of the context by like keeping us like in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
very tight frame.
Hmm.
So it's such an interesting documentary. Like it's been growing on me. I haven't thought about it much. I watched it last night. So
Hmm.
it's a great film. Like
Yeah,
No,
and
but
in
I
Sin
also think
sorry.
no, no. There's a wonderful contrast, right? And you talked Dhruv, of the match cut between the bull and Andre Rocare's character
Yeah.
in the beginning. But I
Hmm.
think it's a really, I mean, it's the most like quote unquote cliche that you would expect from the film. But
Yeah.
I think you get these wonderful moments, or you get these like really like depressing moments at the
Hmm.
end of each of these bullfights, where according to
I
the way
remember
I read
them
up on
enough to
it.
not want to describe them because they are very
Yeah,
graphic.
so
Yeah.
yeah, but in the ritual it said that after the first it's sort of stabbed the final time, the other members put a dagger in the back of the bull's neck to sever its spinal cord and sort of put the
Oh.
killing blow itself, to so
Yeah.
to say. But it's very interesting how that's like very close up of the or very intimately
You
in the bull's,
increasingly get closer to that act through
closer
each
to it, and
bullfight. Like you
you
from
see the
beginning you don't
light
see it.
go out. Yeah, you
Hmm.
see the light go out in the bull's eyes,
Eyes, yeah.
and
Hmm.
then you cut to Andre Okare getting into the car almost every
Hmm.
single time at the end.
Hmm.
We have a moment here or two where, and also it's again the trophy is the year, like, and you have
Yeah.
one of the shots of him like ripping, and he's like, "Oh, this knife is really dull," or something he says,
Yeah.
which is utterly horrifying when you look
Hmm.
at what is happening, and he walks
Hmm.
around with these ears, and then it
Hmm.
cuts to his face, his face when he's
Hmm.
going back, and that contrast. So I think
Hmm.
the beauty of it is there's no voiceover, no talking heads, no need to
Yeah.
add anything onto to make the commentary. And I think it's a wonderful mix of like cinematography and editing to show how
Yeah.
poetically you can convey the
yeah.
absurdities of human action and the cruelties we can
It's
enact in
I'm just gonna
really
add
like absurd ways. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just gonna add one note. I thought about this, but I'm sure people have expressed it in a better way. But as much as this is about masculinity, it reminded me a lot of the rituals of fascism also, which I think
Mm,
some people have mentioned a lot. Where
yeah,
it's, and I'm quoting this from Ryan McCandless, who's in Letterboxd, who wrote this, which he wrote that I'm adding a quick note to say that I've been thinking about this movie a lot, and it's one of the best films I've seen capture the aesthetics of fascism,
mm,
violent ritual as spectacle, void of audience or context,
yeah,
absurdist but never serving as an impediment to kill. So it's operating on that sort of level where you can make can get a lot of things out of it just from seeing the bullfights
No, and
happen
it's also that
and
he's a Peruvian fighter, right? He's a
yeah,
Peruvian fighter
Yeah.
in Spain. So
yeah,
there you've got a whole history of
sure,
colonialism that you're also sort of
yeah,
trying to contend with at the same time. So yeah, a
yeah,
lot of very potent elements.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good job,
And
Albert Serra. I mean,
yeah,
sorry,
and
I
I
was about to
love
say the
how
word. Yeah.
the movie's so not interested in his psychology, like, they don't give a shit. So
Yeah,
that's
but
the best
Ashwin,
part.
I don't think but I think Chris said this. I don't think it's taking the mick out of him as much as it's taking out the mick of the people around him. Like to me, he
Hmm.
has a blankness to him, which to me is like he's so unsure, and I'm like he's part of this system and sort of being again put the
Yeah.
spikes are being put on him also from all
Yeah.
around. So that element to me was there at least. But anyways, please watch this. Don't watch Frankenstein. But I guess that's not going to happen because everyone has watched Frankenstein already. Anyways, we can move on to the last film of our discussion, which I haven't seen and I maybe not
Yes.
never see. But anyways, we'll get.
I need your take on it, sir. I am still going to like force you
Okay.
to like you got me to watch Sirāt now. I hold a couple of
Yeah, but Sirāt,
you
you'll
owe me
never
a couple of
forget. Sentimental value
I
is the
even though I
agree.
want
forgettable
to
sort,
bleach
right?
my brain and forget it for the like
Yeah, but
good.
sentimental value, I'll forget. No, that's the whole point. That it's generic a little bit. It's a little too art
Okay,
house
then I'll find
cliche.
something memorable for you to watch. Don't
I think you
worry.
have. I watched the
No, you.
Badass Ravi Kumar. I think that's good enough for me for a
Which is of course
lifetime.
my number one film of the year. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyways, please,
Anyways,
go ahead.
um, the next film the final film that we're talking about for this discussion is Sentimental Value, directed by Joachim Trier.
Why didn't you want to do the role? He wanted you to do it.
I can't work with him. We can't really talk.
My father is a very difficult person.
It's a Norwegian film, co-written by Eskil Vogt.
Oh, they work
It's
together only, right? I think for everything.
I would not know. This is the first Trier film I've seen,
Oh,
so
you've not
my
seen Worst Person in the
apologies.
World?
I've not seen Worst
Okay.
Person in the World. Cinematography is by Casper Tuxen, edited by Olivier Bouguecourt. Music by Hanya Rani, and starring Renate Reinsve, Stellan Skarsgård, Inga Ibsdottir Lilleus,
Yes.
and Elle Fanning. The description of it on IMDb is actually pretty short. They've got a longer one on Google, but it says an intimate exploration of family, memories, and the reconciliatory power of art is how sort of IMDb summarizes it, which is
Reconciliatory power of art.
Hmm.
which
Okay.
I'm just like,
Hmm.
sure, Jan, sure.
Okay.
I mean,
As you
in
say
theory,
best.
yeah.
In theory.
In
Okay.
theory.
Yeah.
Okay, can I
But
just
yeah,
say, the reasons I've not watched it firstly? Then you guys, of course, take over.
yeah.
I've not liked Joachim Trier's work that much. I've not disliked it, but I've never been like crazy about it. The only thing I remember about two of his films are two of the actresses. So make of that what
Hmm.
you will. Louder Than Bombs is Isabelle Huppert, who gives a characteristically astonishing performance in the small role she has in that. And then Jesse Eisenberg is also there, giving a characteristically annoying performance. But the other one is Worst Person in the World. I really like Renata Reinsve. Is that the way you
That's
pronounce
right.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. And because of that film, I've watched a lot of films starring her, and the only decent film she starred in after that is that
Different
A
man.
Different Man with Sebastian Stan. And yeah, so yeah,
That
that's
appears.
it. Yeah, and I don't really care for his work before this, so I didn't watch it. And then people made the comparison with Olivia Assayas, who I really like, and Ingmar Bergman, who I love. So I was like, I don't want to watch Discount Bergman or Discount Olivia Assayas. So I've not watched it. You guys can go ahead.
First of all, just want to say that whoever compared Tyrion to Asayas should be in jail, at least
Okay.
for one day.
Okay, fine.
One day only.
Okay. Okay, fine. I've heard what's the thing that's going around? Clouds of sales IKEA is the thing that's going on.
Still first
That's
ICS, yeah.
IKEA but IKEA is Swedish, no? Or is it Norwegian?
It's Swedish, but this is
It is
Nike's joke in the
Swedish.
movie. You have to see
Okay.
it. You have to see.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chris, take over. Bitch about
Oh,
this.
okay. I will begin bitching about it. But okay, yeah. So I have not seen Joachim Trier's work before. This is the
Mm.
first film of his I've seen. So I went in sort of blind, and surprisingly, I found the first half of the film pretty engaging. I personally, and I've mentioned this before in the Oba episode as well, have a deep affection for father-daughter narratives, and but in I think in a very different way than this film sort of approaches it, and it rapidly deteriorates in my personal opinion. But I think it starts off very interestingly exploring Renato's character's sort of life very perfunctorily, but then you get sort of which I will die on the hill that anybody putting Stellan Skarsgård as supporting performance is category fraud. He's the main lead of the film. I would say he's the main lead. I wouldn't even put Renato as a co-lead. He's the lead of the film. And comes in, and I think his performance I think is absolutely brilliant. If there's one thing that I can sort of never sort of openly praise and without any sort of reservations. But you get this sort of lot of cheeky commentary about cinema. You've got the clip of them their his and Elle Fanning's quote unquote Netflix interview that's been going pretty viral
What?
online.
What is this?
That so he's a filmmaker who's trying to make a film, and he
Hmm.
wants his daughter to star in it, who's Renata.
Oh, okay, okay. The
But
piano teacher thing.
No.
no, no, not the
Oh,
piano tip. That's a different
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
he instead casts Elle Fanning,
Hmm.
and so the film is being produced by Netflix. So they've got an interview, and
Ah,
the interviewer asks, will this film be released theatrically? And he's like, obviously, it's a film.
okay.
And so there's like a commentary about like Netflix and all of
Okay,
that
okay.
kind of.
Oh, so yeah, it is
It's
very
got.
Olivia Sayers.
Wait
I
till
Sort
she
wouldn't
of
use
going
finishes.
going for it, at least, I suppose.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so it goes through that kind of this thing, and I thought the first half was quite engaging, but then I think towards the second half, when more reveals happened about sort of Stellan Skarsgård's past, his falling out with Elle Fanning's character, and then later into sort of their much more like, the details of their relationship, I feel like the film reveals itself as deeply manufactured to
Okay.
get a certain reaction out of the audience, and also like constructed in a deeply arbitrary manner. Like it sort of hides certain details or reveals them in certain ways. And it really feels like, okay, every ambiguity is etched out in, okay, this is what I'm ambiguous about, and this is quote unquote the reaction I want out of the audience. And towards the end, the relationship is at a sort of strange place, and then you have this sort of almost quote unquote picture perfect ending to the film, which I feel really clashes with what the rest of it is going for. So it's that kind of it's that sort of house of cards coming tumbling down kind of, very sort of fragile construction, which looks fine at first, but then rapidly deteriorates for me through the middle of the second half. So I think that's how. Again, it's got interesting performances. I think Fanning is good, Renate is great, Renate is great, and Inga Ibsdottir is very good. They've got the inklings of a really good sisterly relationship of, because they were abandoned by their father, how they have to look after each other, and this, older sister, younger sister, and how one has to be the mother. Um, it's got sort of elements of like their mother is a psychotherapist, so how it deals with her, and the house itself as a space. So a lot of it is based in
Is
the
that like
house
Sound of
that.
Falling or what? Again, this is
Mm.
another house, huh?
Yeah.
Acha, you said this, I think, right? And you guys
Yeah.
also said some people have
Generational
mentioned,
thing.
and some people have also mentioned it's like the better J. Kelly.
Again, wouldn't know, haven't seen either.
I haven't
Ashwin can
seen
Um,
maybe chip in.
JPL.
Ashwin,
it
No.
you've seen
is, it's equally mediocre for
equally. Okay,
me.
fine.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, both of them have this, this artist father who was too busy to look after their daughters thing, trying to reconnect with their daughter. And Jake Lee is more of a going for 8.5 thing,
Yeah.
and this one is going towards the Bergman road where they actually confront directly and create drama out of it, but not in a very good way. So, yeah, so I really liked all the performances. And
Mm.
as Chris said, the sisterly thing is what really resonated with me the most, because how they had to take care of each other, so how they support each other. There's one really good scene where they talk about that, and Inga is really great in that scene, and Renata is generally awesome.
Hmm.
And yeah. So my problem with it is like with like Trier in general is like I find him very schematic. He has all these ideas, and but it feels like the worst person in the world. To me, felt like a PowerPoint presentation in like 12 slides. He had like 12 chapters, and like instead of writing like whole scenes and creating dramas between characters, he has like very short vignettes of very specific things that he wants in the script.
Hmm.
So here, it's very similar here, but he's not using the chapters thing. That 12 chapters in that movie was a nod
There
to
were
like a
12
vis-a-vis to
chapters.
that's in the world, the worst person in the world.
I,
It's
I
chaptered actually.
don't
Yeah,
remember.
but
I just remember the smoking image of it, I think,
yeah, and the running thing, I
and the
guess.
running.
Yeah, so that was a nod to like Godard's vis-a-vis. But
Yeah.
here, um, what he does is he doesn't have chapter titles, but he just cuts to black after every small scene.
Hmm.
So it's e- effectively the same approach. Like
Sure.
instead of like proper scenes going from one scene to the next, it is just a collection of like vignettes,
Vignettes. Hmm.
and it is, and this schematic thing is where the problem lies, because this topic is very familiar. Like
Hmm.
you have this uh, artist, successful artist who has abandoned their children, kind of thing. And in such a framework, what I would be looking for is like some really good drama, like the
Hmm.
dramatic scene between the characters, but we don't really get so much of it.
Okay.
And I felt like it's a missed opportunity, considering like an ensemble of such a great actors. All of them are great.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and there is the transformative power of art kind of thing. It is, I mean, I felt like that has been used a lot lately.
Yeah.
Like the way this film ends is like something. The ending is kind of foreshadowed in a conversation, like in the first third of
Hmm.
the movie.
Hmm.
So I kind of saw it coming, but it
Hmm.
feels like that ending really resonates with a lot of people. This
Hmm.
is also one of the films that I watched with the crowd at the festival,
Hmm.
and everybody was like applauding like when it happened, and
Okay.
I was rolling my eyes because
Okay.
not because it was
Exactly.
predictable, only because it's so schematic again. Like they could have done so many better things with such great actors, and
Sure.
he's going for a very neat, tidy ending.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, and the sound of falling thing, this is all centered around that house,
Hmm.
and how the all these abandonment issues and all other traumas that his previous generation has experienced.
Sure.
It's lingering in the house,
Okay.
and
But it's done in a
you know
more like direct, sort of, not
it is very direct. They
poetically sort
actually
of.
literally paints the house a different color at the end.
Oh.
And yeah,
Okay.
so like kind
And
of
and
like
even
very
the
very
juxtaposition of the finals, the house in the final shot versus it's so manufactured to me.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
much.
Like you can see the dramatic principles on screen as opposed to.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they opened with the image of the house with the dark colors and with
Oh,
cracks
it's
on the
that
walls,
literal.
cracks on the foundation, cracks on the walls. There's a voiceover that's saying that it there in the beginning when during construction itself.
Oh, okay.
And it ends with the
Like what?
house being
Yellow. Okay.
renovated to a very
Okay.
bright white
Okay.
colors. And the inside looks terrible, actually, honestly. Like I prefer the older ones. Anyway, so that's the problem. It's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't say tell like he should have done it differently. Like it's his
Hmm.
film, but
Hmm.
like when you have access to so much talent, I
Hmm.
thought he could have done something far more interesting with it.
But you saw it twice. Lucky you. Sorry, I had to put that in. Anyways.
So yeah, I went to a surprise screening here, and it happened to be Sentimental Value. That's what happened.
You
Not
were truly surprised.
yes. No, I was like, see, I love surprise screenings because it's of that anticipation. So like when Neon logo came out, I'm like, oh my God, is it Sirāt?
Secret
And
agent.
Oh.
then it said Grand Prix, Cannes Film Festival. I'm like, oh fuck, Sentimental Value. I mean, the best case scenario was like, no other choice. I
Secret
was like,
agent.
Secret Agent, yeah.
That's
And
neon,
dude,
right?
in that microsecond when I saw Neon, like so many thoughts were going on. I'm like, it could be no other choice, Secret Agent, Sirāt, or Sentimental Value. And when I saw the Grand Prix thing, so I turned to my friend and said, yeah, Sentimental Value.
Anyways, Vic,
Anyway,
are you more positive on this than Ashwin and Chris?
So, like Ashwin, I've watched this movie twice,
Oh,
unfortunately. So,
okay.
but first time when I watched it, I responded. I liked it. It was
Yeah.
actually on my number 8 in my top 10 list.
Okay.
But I watched it last year at the Melbourne International Film Festival.
Yeah.
Then I watched it recently for this episode, and I was
Yeah.
like, my God, what was I thinking? So,
Okay.
why I liked it the first time was I responded to very strongly to a couple of things, like the opening
Mm,
shot of the house with the cracks.
mm,
It kind of hit me at that
mhm,
time. And then there's this vignette, as Ashwin was saying, where this
mm,
the young Renata character is giving a
mhm,
performance in a movie in the train, and when that shot ends, it was quite well directed, that
mhm,
particular vignette. And there were a couple of these comedic moments, like even when Renata is giving her the opening shot of the movie is she's going on stage to perform and she's
mm.
nervous and her dress is tearing and all of that, and then she gives a great performance. Like there were some interesting aspects to it, and I like the scene where he's giving his 8-year-old grandson as a birthday gift the DVD of the piano teacher. I think it was just fucking hilarious to
Mhm.
me.
And
So there were things
irreversible,
about
no? Both of them.
and irreversible.
yeah.
Irreversible.
Yeah.
Irreversible and
He said,
piano
this is
teacher,
you'll,
yeah.
I think you'll know women or you'll know how the female
You'll know
psyche
women
works
better
or
by watching
something
these movies.
by
Yeah.
watching these
Maternal
movies.
relationships, like he show
Better.
specific to the piano teacher, he says something.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get the piano, but irreversible? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
it's so on the nose to Chris's point. Everything
Okay.
is just so on the nose. And the ending, the tracking shot of where it's actually we don't know for a second if it's a movie or if it's it's
Oh, it
happening in
goes for
reality.
that.
So he goes for that. So when I first watched it, I was like, you know what? And to be
Mm,
honest, the main thing was the performances. I think
mhm,
Renata Rensev is fantastic, and as
mm,
Inga and trying to Ibsdata Elias is so good. Those I agree with Ashwin. I think
mm,
the dynamic between the two sisters are absolutely believable and got
mm.
such sincerity to it. I'm not big on Elle Fanning's
Okay.
performance. I think it's like Akshay Khanna and Dhurandhar. Like everyone's raving about it. I'm like, they're not doing much really. Like
Okay.
she's
Elle
just
Fanning's usually very good. I don't know. I've heard she doesn't
she's
have a
very good
very
in
She's
a
good.
my
big
She's
role.
favorite
good.
Elle Fanning performance is in Sofia Coppola's Somewhere. She's
Okay.
very good in that.
I remember her
But
from 20th Century Women, which I love the film
20th
also.
Century Woman
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when I rewatched it, I was like, to Ashwin's point, he and Chris's point was so manufactured, and the
Mm.
scenes are just put together and strung together. But worst of all, the thing that pissed me off most was he wants us to forgive this father who's been horrible to his
Okay.
daughters,
Mm.
and they reconcile and forgive him because the power of cinema is so strong that the trauma just wipes away and she's back
Okay.
acting in his dad's movie. Like I was more convinced with Shah Rukh and Amitabh's reconciliation towards the end of K3G than I was with these two daughters. They forgiving their very horrible father who was horrible to them, to their
Yeah.
mother. He doesn't even come to his wife's like funeral, but
Oh.
he comes late and then he comes with a purpose, and it's all just so yeah, I didn't like it. And baffles me, American critics respond to this movie so much that they are
Mm.
like all over it, and I'm like, but that's you, America. You love trauma and you love celebrating the power of cinema and how it can heal trauma. So
I mean, they didn't
No,
like
but
J. Kelly, but or whatever, they were low on J. Kelly at least. So,
oh, because it's American, right? Like
oh, okay, okay.
it's
So it's like
made
this
by
is
Noah
this is
Baumbach, but
made.
oh,
हम
Joe
करे तो
career
चलता
makes
है
it ah.
हम
Fair.
करे तो
घर की
नहीं
मुर्गी दाल बराबर का. So now, it's fine. Yeah, but Jokum Tirir, oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I have to go and remove it from my number 8 and demote
Okay.
it
No,
somewhere.
but the point you make about the Sharon Skarsgård performance is the kind of thing that also made me really annoyed, right? Like I love father-daughter narratives. Like one of the reasons I'm so fond of One Battle After Another is because it functions as such an interesting father-daughter sort of narrative and dynamic. It almost sort of falls into like it's that it's because you make the K3G comparison, it's much more
Just noted.
close.
I didn't
It's
expect
much
this to
more
come.
closer to the वो बड़े हैं and उनको माफ कर देना चाहिए, not
Parampara,
Yeah.
Pratishtha, and all that stuff.
अनुशासन.
Anushashan.
Wasn't that
Yeah,
Mohabbat
it's
Hai?
Ah, that
that's
is
That was
Mohabbat
that.
Hai.
Mohabbat Hai,
But
yeah,
we
that was-
same,
That also
same,
has got
same
a
slate.
reconciliation, yeah,
Yeah.
between the. But here it's like it's very, very much like, and again, since so the ending, so you see this house in many forms, and then the ending, you've got Renata's character acting, finally agreeing to act in Stellan Skarsgård film, and you recreate this moment that he describes earlier, but it's then in a set which is constructed to look like their house. And it's actually on a sound
Yes.
stage, and then she
Sounds
steps
good.
out, and they have like a moment where they're kind of awkward, but not really. But it's in this, cinematic scape
Yeah, but
of
doesn't
pretending. And
but doesn't that mean that the relationship isn't entirely mended, but like sort of cinematically mended? But there's a difference between cinematic mending and real mending and all that stuff.
no, but I think
Ye-
it becomes a problem because the fundamental conflict of the film is that she refuses to do this film because he was
Movie,
not
yes.
there for
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
if she does it, even if it's uncomfortable, it is like, oh, we are on a path towards reconciliation,
Sure, sure,
which is
sure.
fundamentally like there's a very great moment, or like one thing I really like as an interesting element is Inga's son that he wants, Stellan Skarsgård character wants to cast him in the film. And she talks about how, so she was cast in his earlier film when she was much younger. And she says that, I loved this because it was a time where all of dad's attention was on me. And I was the center of attention and I had all the love. And then he disappeared, right? And it all vanished. And I don't want my son to experience that. So it's everything in the film's philosophy is pointing towards no, this character is irredeemable. They should
Yeah.
not forgive him. He might have his own trauma, but that trauma is not reconciled through just like, haha, okay, we are
I'm
family. But
surprised then this goes all gooey, considering it's whatever your European art house cinema and all that. Like, why would you decide to go gooey on all this? Like, just commit to the meanness, no? Like, if your inspirations
Yeah,
are like
exactly.
skewing
It's
Bergman.
even the thing to me that was very baffling was that the Renetta character, she's got intimacy issues. She can't hold on to relationships because of the trauma. She's it's hard for her to trust or love someone. And then she just finally somehow because he falls sick, she's like, oh, I might lose my dad. I have him, and I'm just going to do his movie. So it's like like this conflict is so easily resolved, and I just don't know in real life trauma can be that simplistic,
Sure.
especially if it's hit you so much to your
Yeah. I mean, again, what you guys mentioned, like if you're skewing Bergman, I mean, go Bergman cruel then, because he's not afraid of it. He's like brutal with his endings a lot of times. So, it's surprising to me that he goes all Hollywood on everyone.
Yeah, like, and this power of cinema. So it is what is implied is that he's aware of her struggle somehow, like,
Hmm.
and he has incorporated that into his new screenplay.
Hmm.
And through, you know, filming that with
Hmm.
her as the lead actress,
Hmm.
he's curing her somehow and making up for the lost
Interesting.
time.
yeah.
But this is just implied in the end.
Okay.
So it doesn't really land that way.
Interesting.
And I think what would have been really interesting would be like a proper confrontation scene between those two. Whenever it gets to that stage, they immediately cuts away. Like, they do that like very briefly in one scene and then
Okay.
cuts away. Like imagine like Autumn Sonata, like that would have been really good. Like,
I
a
don't want to
cathartic.
imagine Autumn Sonata, Ashwin. I don't want to start crying on the podcast. It's not that
I mean,
my taste.
that is what
Yeah.
See, when you hear a premise like this with
Yeah.
such great actors, that's what I want,
Yeah. Yeah.
these
Hmm.
two people yelling at each other, and and then you feel like a cathartic feel, although things are still shitty. Like
Yeah.
that would have been nice, but nothing like that happens. He doesn't. I don't think he has the capability to write dialogues like that and dramatic scenes like that.
Then do silence. No, silence also works a lot of times, I feel. Like not silent, like silence, like do stuff with images then. Like, I mean, that way, if you're not good with your dialogue. But anyways, no, what the other film that you guys reminded me of while you were talking about this, and this is a film I'm very fond of, is Joanna Hogg's Souvenir Part 1 and
Yes, I was
especially
about
Souvenirs.
to
Part
Yeah.
2.
spoil it. And so I was writing in when I wrote about this movie on Letterboxd, I was like, that ending is ripped up, has been done at least twice in films premiered at Cannes in the last 4 5 years. One of them is The Souvenir,
I love
and
the ending in
also
that
like
though.
in Pain and Glory has that ending,
Ah,
which was
yeah.
amazing.
Amazing. Hmm.
Yeah.
That one really worked for me, and Souvenir has that ending. But
Hmm.
this is the third time. My God,
Okay.
you must
Okay.
have
Okay.
seen all
Oh
those
yeah, I
films.
forgot. Pain and Glory has a
Yeah. Pain
wonderful
and Glory,
variation
you're
of that.
right.
Just
Yeah.
wonderful.
Great.
I'm like,
Hmm.
holy shit! Like it felt
Hmm.
like I was like overjoyed, delighted by like how, that reveal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and the Souvenir not so much. But
Hmm.
this time I knew it. This is how it was going to end when he was describing that shot like earlier in the
Okay. Okay.
movie,
Okay. Hmm.
and he did exactly that. My God.
Yeah. So I think with Pain and Glory, it's like the element of surprise. Like you
Hmm.
didn't sort of think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it, but here you're so cognizant about it. On your
yes,
first watch, I mean, second watch, of
yes,
course, it's a different story. But like on
yeah.
your
On my
first watch,
first watch, I
if
knew
you're
it.
cognizant, then
Yeah,
it's a bit of an
yeah,
issue, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
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 Anyways, I think that's it. Anything more on sentimental value, guys? No value. Okay.
The actors are
Anyways,
innocent.
okay. Yeah, yeah. They will be nominated for stuff, I'm pretty sure. Or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
all
Oh,
three
I
of them.
think they're definitely getting screenplay, possibly picture, actress, and supporting actress. I would
Okay.
Yeah,
put my money on it. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very tough category for actors also actually this time, I guess, depending on like, who all is there. Lots of films have very good I don't know about the lead actor, but I know at least in the supporting players there's lots of people.
There are lots. Yeah.
Anyways,
This year
yeah.
is crowded. Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, we are moving on to our last segment of this episode in which Chris and Ashwin have said they will not take part because they've
I actually do have one, so I will take part.
what is this?
It has to be
No, no.
European, but
No, it has to be anything, not European, or South
No,
American for
I've
that
got
matter.
a European film that is in conversation with Sirāt, so I can't not recommend this.
Okay, so Chris, we'll start with you since you have started, and then I'll move to Vikas, and then I'll move to Ashwin, and then I'll. But I've already mentioned mine. But okay, fine. I'll mention it again.
I will just find the director's name 1 second. So,
Yeah.
this is a documentary.
Hmm.
It's called Lesbia. It's
Hmm.
by a director whose names I will not pronounce because I will
What
absolutely
is the
butcher it.
spelling of the title of what you just said?
Lesvia, Lesvia.
Lesvia. Okay, that's
Lesbia.
one word.
It's one word.
Okay. Okay.
And it's essentially a documentary about the island of Lesbos in Greece.
Hmm.
So, for anyone who's not familiar, the term lesbian and sapphic
Hmm.
comes from the poet Sappho of the island of Lesbos, who
Hmm.
is this very famous poet who wrote what is widely sort of read as sapphic or like woman loving women poetry,
Hmm.
and is considered to be is a symbol in the queer community. And the film is about how for a certain while
Hmm.
this island of Lesbos worked
Hmm.
as a sort of it's the equivalent of like Fire Island. So it worked as a sort of refuge
Hmm.
for lesbians, for queer women who would travel all the way to Greece and then to Lesbos to spend the summer together and sort of have this kind of a place where they're not worried about men around them, and they're enjoying their nudity and much more
Hmm.
comfort than they would. And these are mostly white European women who come, Americans, and
Hmm.
like the reason why I recommend it, I'm not particularly fond of the film, but I think the
I
reason
mean,
why I
I was
recommended
about
it.
to ask, like, it doesn't seem like the subject matter and it's about women and, it's about set on a woman, like an island just surrounded by women. So,
My God, I hate you. But no, with respect to something like Sirāt, I think the cracks of it come out in the sort of so if you read it a bit metatextually, that is to say
Hmm.
that it sort of looks at Lesbos as, because then it sort of went down, and the locals weren't happy with these women coming in.
Hmm.
They sort of set up their own businesses, but then they felt like they were taking over, quote unquote, the space.
Hmm.
And it's got a certain sort of almost colonial implication to it, where these
Yeah.
rich white young people are coming into this local island and taking over
Hmm.
their businesses and making a ruckus.
Hmm.
And sort of leaving back and sort of disrupting the economy of the place, tourism, because tourism is a big thing and people aren't
Hmm.
willing to come because they are there. So there's a very interesting commentary about a factor of colonial sort of imperialist sort of tendencies, or of people taking over certain local culture, but
Hmm.
it's not sort of assumed by the film itself. The film sort of
Sure.
takes a very melancholic, oh, this is a piece of history that we've lost.
Hmm.
But which there is something very interesting to say also with respect to something like Fire Island is for gay men.
Okay.
But though, even though that's not lost, it sort of
Hmm.
continues to thrive as a community.
Hmm.
But that sort of what Sirat is going for more in its text here, in that in its gaps you see that sort of a similar commentary here. So I think it's
Interesting.
interesting to check out. It's an interesting piece of queer history. In that sense, I find it very interesting, which is the main reason that I watched it. And it
Yeah.
talks about how women were building spaces for themselves, and the ways that they would have to the escape that they would have to take to be able to be themselves, and be around other queer women, and so on and so forth. So there's very
True.
interesting historical value to it, but there's this sort of unexamined undercurrent which makes it a very sort of interestingly conflicted text. Yeah.
Fascinating. Uh, I'm sure I'll like it more than you since I'm the performative male feminist of this group. Anyways, because go ahead.
I have a few.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
is a
please.
French movie
Yeah.
called Misericordia. Don't ask
Oh,
me the
yeah.
director's name. Misericordia.
Alain
It's
Guaradi, I think. I'm butchering it,
Alain
but
Guardi. Thank you. So
yeah.
Oh,
you've
Misericordia.
obviously
Oh,
seen
I
the
Oh,
watched
it's
movie.
that.
one. It's on my favorites. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
all of
the
us
year.
really
Yeah,
enjoy
All
the
of
film.
us.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's oh good. So then, well, replug for
yeah.
Misericordia
No, no,
for
we
any of the
haven't talked about
listeners.
it, so please talk about it. It's
No,
fine.
we did talk about it.
Did
No, the
we?
best of pretty
Okay,
extensively
okay, sure.
across
But
two
anyways,
episodes. Yeah,
replug,
yeah, yeah.
replug then.
Replug, please
Yeah.
do.
So, in quick summary, a very good-looking person comes back to a small town because someone's died, but
Yeah.
because he's good-looking, he becomes the object of affection for but every single person in the town, and it goes to say how much looks can take someone that far. But it's got this undercurrent of of dynamics and sexual politics, and there's a lot of power play happening, and
Hmm.
it's weird and bizarre, and it's fun. So I would recommend that.
Yeah.
The other one is a movie called Once Upon a Time in Gaza. It's set in Gaza, and there is one person who wants to make like a Rohit Shetty movie while the bombings are happening in Gaza, and Israel is occupying. And but this guy is obsessed with making a Rohit Shetty type of a movie there, so it's quite funny and weird and political. So do check that out. The third movie is
Don't give Rohit Shetty ideas. Vic.
Please.
Oh, if you watch this movie, man, it's like
Uh,
uh the third one is a movie called Twinless. I don't know if you have watched this
Oh
one.
my God. It's infamous
You'll
here.
have watched it all. Okay,
yeah,
very
I
good.
haven't
We
watched
did.
it. I've been warned off it by Chris.
I
So,
did famously bitch about it in the last episode, but
well,
please go
no, you
ahead.
praised it a decent bit. Okay,
I did also bitch about it, but I did praise it. I did
yeah,
end up liking it. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
but please replug.
It-
I will.
It's
I'll
I
wait.
would recommend it. Like
Okay.
it's an interesting take on people's ability to grapple with trauma and want to be loved. So, it's got some interesting ideas. And whether they're
Yep.
fully realized or not, you can debate about
Yep.
it. But yes, and the last one is A Reflection in a Bad Diamond.
Oh
This is a
yes, I want to
very
see
Euro
this.
trash movie.
Hmm.
It's like a James Bond movie gone so nuts.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
those were the four movies I had.
Perfect. Great. That's the one which I really want to watch. It's been I've not watched it though. So yeah. Anyways, Ashwin.
No, no, Vic, I wanted to say I bitched about Twinless in the way that I relate to it too much, which is why I kind of hate it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. First thing, I wanted to say, like, Misericordia, I just love it.
Yeah.
It might be my top 10 or something. And I think
Hmm.
it has the best tagline of the year. Some confessions come with a body count.
Okay.
So like it might be my favorite
Great.
tagline of the year.
I mean, it
Uh,
definitely has one of my favorite characters of the year, if not my favorite, with the priest. He is
Yeah,
Oh my
nuts.
God, yes.
Yeah.
yes. Anyway, I don't have too much. I think I talked about like I don't know.
Yeah, and you won't talk about
This time I want to
Avatar
say
now
like
because you're talking about it later.
which one?
Avatar, Avatar.
Oh, but I'm not talking about it now. So
Huh.
I'll say the chronology of water, Kristen Stewart's
Oh, you
directorial
watched
Sure.
debut.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it at the festival. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if it's available
I don't
wide,
think
but
it is right now.
Did
Yeah.
you like it, Ashwin? Obviously, you're
I like.
recommending it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I liked the treatment. I mean, again, it's like a your usual trauma kind of thing, but I like how, confident the directing is, the
It's in a
narrative
short
structure
debut.
is.
Yes, I
Hmm.
agree. Yeah.
It's like, like for a debut, like lands like a thud. Like, it could have been
Hmm.
another Sundance kind of movie, but it's not.
Okay.
It's a Cannes movie. I mean, with the all merits and demerits, I want to say,
Sure.
but it looks great. The narrative it's very. I don't know. It feels very tactile and a fractured
Hmm.
narrative structure, and the visuals and sound design and everything goes along with that structure. It has a great performance as well. So I think,
Who's
yeah,
Imogen Poots?
yes, Imogen Poots, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will recommend that. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Perfect.
wanted to ask Ashwin, have you seen Urchin? That is the important
Oh, you
I
question.
wanted
am
people to
looking
Oh,
forward.
Harris
explain
Sorry,
it to
Harris
you.
Dickinson.
Dickinson. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to see. Urchin and Pillion are two movies that I'm like
Okay.
really looking forward to
Yeah,
watching. I'm like,
I'm dying to watch Billion. It
I
yes,
am
hasn't come out
same.
too.
I mean,
anywhere. Yeah.
since Can, I'm like, when will it come?
Where is it?
Yeah.
Why is it not online
I
yet?
don't know.
It's I don't think it's had its wide release. I think or it's
Oh,
just having it now in January in the US or someplace. So it's
Probably.
okay.
had
Yeah.
pretty
In
limited release.
Australia, they're releasing it on Valentine's Day. I'm like, I don't know if that's a Valentine Day movie, but
No, I
whatever.
oh my
I
God, I
think
would
it.
watch it for
I think it's
Valentine's.
romantic. It's surprisingly romantic. I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But sorry, Chris, you've seen what was the other thing you were saying? Urchin
Urchin,
was the one you
Urchin.
wanted an explanation for. I was like, what
Yes.
is there to
I
explain
was
in a coming of
asking
age film?
You
no, no,
watched
I
it?
was asking
No,
because yeah,
no,
I
I'm like,
watched it. I
okay,
watched
watched it.
it on a plane and I was incredibly confused
Hmm.
by the end of it. And it's again a sort of directorial debut by an actor. And
Yeah.
I wonder, especially since you've seen Chronology of Water, what you would think of that with respect. Because it also deals with like trauma and
Okay.
sort of coming of age
What
and
doesn't deal
it's
with trauma
Honestly,
Yeah,
at
we're
this
in a
point?
Rohit
world of
Shetty
trauma porn.
films.
No, that give you
Oh,
trauma.
those create trauma. They don't
Yes.
deal with it, they create trauma.
Anyways,
Exactly.
talking about trauma, I have a recommendation also. But no, I mean, I kind of mentioned Mimosas a bit here and there, so I guess it's kind of my recommendation because that's the only other film I watched outside of assignment work for this podcast episode. But Predators I recommended last time, which was an explosive documentary, which should be watched to be believed, to be very honest. And
Mhm.
then we talked about because it deserves discussion, I think. The one I'm going to recommend a mini series just because I barely watch them and I watched this and I loved it. It's called The Yogurt Shop Murders. It's by Margaret Brown. It's on It's HBO's production. A24 also produced it, I think. And Emma
Oh.
Stone is an exec or a co-producer on this. So good for her. Good on her for doing this also again. But anyways, this director has made a documentary called Descendant, I think in 2020 or 2021, which is another fantastic piece of work about um, I think it's about have you guys seen Marty Diop? Not Marty Diop. Yeah, Marty Diop's The Homie.
yeah.
Right. So a sort of it's about so this Descendant is similarly about the dealing with the sort of collective responses or I don't want to say trauma, but it's like a collective memory of what it feels like having like the material of that was stolen from your ancestors brought back to you, and it's particularly centered on a black community. In
Okay.
Descendant, the Yogo Chop murders is about like Texas, Austin, wherever it happened in 1991, and it follows the sort of repercussions the unsolved murder just up until now. It got solved after the documentary released actually. But anyways, the idea of the documentary or the mini series, mini docu series, is to not talk about the true crime, but what happens when you dig into the other elements of true crime, which is how the repercussions of this affect the victims of the family, like the victims of the family members of the victims of the crime, and the people who were falsely accused in the crime, and this whole sort of desire for justice, and how uh, all these facets are covered in a way which I thought was incredibly perceptive and delicate. I thought after a long while I've seen a documentary in which you don't come out with this whole a true crime thing, in which you don't come out thinking about wanting to solve the crime, but like just being like attached to the people who are deeply affected by it and trying to get over it in a way which feels healthy to them. So yeah, it is a lot about quote unquote trauma in some sense, but in a way which I thought was very um sensitive. Like the last time I remember being this affected by like some people in a film who are like the subjects was another documentary by Joshua Oppenheimer called The Look of Silence, which is the flip side of the
Yeah.
act of killing. Act of killing is on the murderers who committed the atrocities, and Look of Silence is on the victim and how he processes the that sort of sense of national tragedy that happened, and genocide that happened in Indonesia. So yeah, I mean it's incredibly moving. It's got slightly review bombed, I think, on a couple of sites because I think it was promoted. It's the A24 usual thing of promoting it as a true crime thing, but it's actually not really true crime. So a lot of people who went in wanting the sort of pleasures of true crime were dissatisfied by it. I think that is essentially the reason I'm uh, recommending it, is because it is avoiding all those pitfalls of sensationalism and going for something incredibly sensitive. So yeah, if you have time and inclination to steep yourself in something extremely depressing, then you can do watch this, or you can watch all the four or five films we were talking about, because all of them are depressing in some
No,
register,
and
I think.
just a thing on Predators, because I
Yep.
watched it after we did the last recording. I think we can wind it up here so that you don't have to
Hmm.
carry it forward later. But
We might be
I
discussing it.
oh, if we are, then I don't,
I
because
mean,
I've
you
got a
can talk
lot
about
of
it here
thoughts.
also, but yeah, but I think it's worth discussing. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, I think there is something I find deeply appealing about Predators in two ways. One is I'm not a fan of the true crime machine. I've never understood the appeal, and I
Hmm.
feel like so I have much more been interested in work that takes it down. So I think most notably, Todd Haynes' May December, I think, is an
Sure.
excellent introspection on what impact something like that
Yeah.
has. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
Predators obviously takes it far more interpersonally, actually as a documentary, and it actually toys with the idea of this sort of knee-jerk, virtue signaling, or almost this desire we have for, moral vindication, as opposed to genuine belief in rehabilitation, or the ideas that people make mistakes, or even thinking about the fact that, someone could, uh, you know, come back into society from having or being about to commit heinous acts. And also, I know Dhruv has said that there is a moment in the middle of the film that he's not fond of. I personally find it very interesting, only because, again, not to buy the lead here, I have also I relate to what that reveal is
Hmm.
personally, through certain personal experiences.
Hmm.
And hence, it's always, when you talk about these things, there's always that sort of dual thing, that if you put it at the beginning, then your entire argument gets discredited because you're
Hmm.
talking from a place of a certain bias. Whereas if
Hmm.
you reveal it in the middle, like it does, you'll say, oh, it's cheap.
Hmm.
You're trying to buy credibility.
It's
And
a
I think
gotcha moment
that's
for me. Like it's like
it,
I've revealed this, and I'm like, now you take me seriously. Like it's one of those things. Yeah.
for me, it's, I get that struggle. Like
Hmm.
I understand why revealing it in the beginning can be difficult,
Sure.
because it
It's
then
yeah.
can
Regard.
discredit the whole thing.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, no, no. It was the moment which like gave me pause, but that doesn't mean I don't find it like it is. I think the type of documentary which I would love to. I like that it exists in the way it is, because I think it's very
Yeah.
worthy of discussing the merits and demerits of it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for all the discussion and the
I
other
just have two
recommendations.
more movies, Ikag, if I
Absolutely,
can
go ahead,
recommend.
throw
Yeah.
them on. Yeah, yeah.
One is called Drunken Noodles by Lucio Castro. Not sure if you'll have
Okay.
seen it. It's a very interesting take on contemporary relationships. It's based in New York. And the other
Okay.
one I'm sure you must have, which is Ira Sachs' Peter Hujar's Day.
We have.
So yeah, that's a very, very sweet, somber movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gushed about it for 25 minutes, I think, in the last episode we recorded. But yeah, Ira Sachs's Peter Just is one of my favorites also of this year. So, anyways, thank you, Vic, for the recommendations. Thank you all guys for having a very how to say it, disciplined discussion about the many you know controversial films we were talking about, film we were talking about. But that's what this is for. That's the purpose of all this in any case. But yeah, thank you, Vic, so much. We hope to have you again for another episode, whatever we are recording. I don't know next. Whenever I'll key you in on whatever our plan is. But yes, thank you, Ashwin, thank you, Chris, and khatam.